helping them know that we really care about them and what they are doing for our community really matters. We know that our professional caregivers are overworked and underpaid, and we can't solve all of that problem, but we can tell them that what they do is really important. And so this work would support that work of the coalition. It's not just the library, we host it. It is a range of partners around the Laramie community that are coming together to do that. And then the final thing exciting is just our bookmobile. So our bookmobile and outreach services, this is taking our giant bus out into the community, out to parks and events, as well as doing deliveries. So about every month we do about 40 deliveries to folks in our community that couldn't otherwise come to library. So we take things to them. So this money vehicles are expensive. So this money would actually cover all of those costs to keep those vehicles moving and grooving. All right, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rachel. Councilors, commissioners, any questions? Had a chance to see the bookmobile this summer at the park. It is excellent.
It's fun.
My daughter loved it.
I bet.
All right,
I'm
please.
just curious, in having the bookmobile at the parks, during the summer, did you get a good response?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. I think, we've been trying to share it around, but I think you guys will not be surprised or maybe delighted to hear our biggest turnout is Washington Park, because there was the new playground, and so everybody was going to the new playground, and then they would stop by the bookmobile as well. And so we've been having a good response. I think also get the opportunity to get some folks that wouldn't otherwise come to the library, find the big building intimidating, but I feel like they can jump onto the bookmobile and that feels more welcoming.
Great. Yeah, I thought it was a great location.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Rachel, do some of our patrons at the library use the computers to do their income taxes, file electronically?
That is a great question. I don't know specifically. I think because I will say partly because a lot of our lower income folks, if they approach us with any kind of question, we just directly push them to the VITA program and say, hey, go use the VITA program. They're gonna take care of that for you and really link them to that service. I certainly know we do offer service. So if someone comes in asking, we get a lot of requests to print out forms. So we have free forms available, and then we do make it our practice if someone comes in and asks us for a specific form that we'll just print that for free for them. So we do try to support that as people need it. We do also tread fine line. Sometimes we wear buttons that say we cannot legally provide tax advice. But if they can tell us what form, we do print that for free, and people certainly come in for that.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay, thank you, Rachel. Next up, ARC Regional Services. Welcome. You'll just push the button for me. Perfect.
Alrighty. So I'm Colby Chisholm. I am the Development and Compliance Manager at ARC here in town. I'm going to talk a lot about what we do at ARC. So we are a nonprofit service provider supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live a part of our community here in Laramie. We have a ton of programs, which include our education program, teaches and builds on activities of daily living, health and safety, communication, social skills, stress management, money, time management. Included with that, we have the Fine and Performing Arts program at the Cooper Center for Creative Arts and a general education curriculum. In addition, we have the ARC Equestrian Center, a vocational skill development with the employment services assisting individuals to find employment in our community. With that, we have the residential program, which splits into two types of supports. So that is our independent living, which might be someone living in an apartment by themselves, might receive a few hours of services a week, and our group homes, which are staffed 24/7, 365 out of the year. So we provide services for 95 adults here in Albany County. 55 of those are supported 24/7, and 25 receive some level of 24-hour service, and 15 are only supported in our education program. ARC provides 20,000 hours of services per month, which equates to 240,000 hours a year. We have 170 employees, including 140 direct support professionals, which I will refer to as DSPs, 10 DSP supervisors, and 20 administrative staff. So ARC is primarily funded by Medicaid, and Medicaid underfunds us by 10 to 20%. ARC provides services and then is reimbursed at that rate, which should cover DSP wages, benefits, trainings, administrative costs, transportation, medications management, and insurance. In addition, DSPs provide support with health and hygiene needs, medical needs, assisting with medications, safety, physical escalations, mental health crises, significant trauma, relationships, and communication. So with this underfunded model of Medicaid, it is difficult for us to provide a competitive wage in light of inflation, as well as housing crisis, and we experience a lot of turnover in our workforce. ARC relies on a bunch of additional funding sources, including a dozen grants, over 75 businesses in Laramie, as well as hundreds of individual donors. So at ARC, we know that community-based systems work, and we want the people we support to have the opportunity to contribute to our community, enrich their lives with the support of well-trained and educated staff. And I'm going to open it up to any questions.
Well, thank you. Councilors, commissioners, any questions? All right. Got off easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Next up is Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thanks for taking time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate the opportunity. This green button.
Please.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you all for your time tonight. I'm excited to be here to tell you a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters and what we have going on in the community. Our mission is to create and support mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. And our vision is that all youth will achieve their full potential. We know that every kid is capable of achieving incredible things, and sometimes what they need to overcome any challenges facing them in getting towards those goals is knowing that somebody's in their corner and has their back. So our goal is to make sure that every child has that opportunity. In service of that goal, here in Albany County, we have several different programs that we administrate, I guess. We have our one-to-one matching, where we have adult volunteers who are matched with youth in the community. We match based on interests and personalities and then support them in developing a positive mentoring relationship. We also have after-school programming that we work with the Department of Education to provide, and we have juvenile justice programming that we work with the county attorney's office for any kids who have had law enforcement contact or issues with truancy. So across those programs, last year in 2023, we served over 400 kids and their family members as well. So programming is open to everyone. There is no restriction on who can seek services, but we do have about half of our population living in households that are at or below the poverty line, and about half of the population is living in foster parent, grandparent, or single parent run homes. We also have about 35% of the population that we serve showing an ACEs or adverse child experience score of 2 or more, which is higher than the state percentage of about 23 across the state of Wyoming. So we are open to everybody, but we do work to make sure we are looking for those most in need and most who are going to be the most supported by services. And the support we get from community partners really helps us stay open and available to kids and families in need. We know that kids in mentoring relationships tend to do better in school. They get along better with peers and families. They have less likelihood towards developing substance abuse issues. They tend to develop healthier physical and mental health habits that last into adulthood, and they set bigger, better goals for themselves and their futures and believe that they're going to be capable of achieving those goals and seeing themselves living their biggest life possible. So we want to make sure that we are able to continue providing those services to as many kids and families in the community as we possibly can, because the benefits are numerous, and really everybody can benefit from receiving those kinds of services. And investing in the young people in the community is, we believe, one of the strongest ways to go about building strong communities and strong neighborhoods and the kinds of places that we're all happy to call home. So with that, I would be happy to turn it over to any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, counselors, commissioners?
And just quickly, do you track any of these participants after the age of 18?
We don't have a formal way of going about that. We do try to stay in touch with folks as much as we can, but we don't have a formalized process to do that. We are tracking metrics and data throughout their entire time with us in the program through a youth outcome survey tool that tells us how they're making those goals and meeting those goals throughout their time with the organization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other, Councilor Gabriel, please.
Just curious about the number of participants in the program over the last, say, 3 or 4 years. Has it been fairly consistent?
We saw a decrease during COVID when folks were a little, kind of tightening their circles and not wanting to be out and about as much, and it's going back up. It's creeping back up. We also know that the effects of COVID and all of that have left people in higher need of services and looking for more support systems and things. So I think it's going to continue to increase the number of people who are reaching out for support of all kinds that I'm sure everybody can speak to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Cathedral Home and the Youth Crisis Center. Welcome.
Hi.
Can you see the slides we sent in?
Yeah, the city clerk will pull them
They're
up.
there. Okay.
We couldn't see him back there, so we got
Oh, the TV is off. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
might have to double click it first.
Is this
Hi,
for-
everyone. Thank you for the time to share with you about our community programs. So we're representing Cathedral Home. My name is Rachel LeBeau, and this is my colleague, Teresa Arns. Many people, when we think about Cathedral Home, you may have a picture of our campus north of town. That's probably what comes to people's minds at first, and that has definitely been our longest standing program. But this evening, we really want to talk to you about our community-based services. The Laramie Youth Crisis Center and the Community Resource Center both really focus on the prevention end of the youth mental health and family social wellness, the prevention side of that spectrum. So when we talk about prevention, I think it's really important to highlight the value of having what you need where you live. And so the Laramie Youth Crisis Center is emergency shelter, it's family connection. Youth are able to stay there for an hour, a week, a month, whatever their safety needs deem necessary. And then we're also working with their family whenever possible to really stabilize the family unit and get them hooked into long-term services. The Resource Center is kind of the next level of that. So we have ongoing programming like case management, counseling, family care coordination. Our staff on that team will go to school IEP meetings with families and say, hey, this is what's going on and these are the supports they need. So when we talk about prevention, it's that idea that you have exactly what you need right where you are. And so there's collaboration between all the organizations such as are in this room, as well as, schools, churches, trusted adults, all those people really coming together to keep families together and to support youth where they live. Those social factors that we are addressing continue to increase. People are utilizing our services at record numbers. In the last year, we served 453 people through our prevention programs, Crisis Center and Resource Center, and that reflects an almost 300% increase over the last 5 years. So not only are people willing to say, I need this type of help, but we're able to say, yes, come in, let's do it. So we're really excited to partner with you all to achieve those things and to make sure that people have what they need.
And how do we know that these services will impact the community? These are a few of our successes that our clients realize, which really equates to our communities realizing these successes also. Some of the highlights are some decreased crisis ratings and positive satisfaction ratings from our crisis center families. We see life skills growth and overall risk reduction at our resource center. And I think that's how we know. We track a lot of these successes that our clients see. We also want to point out that in the 2023 Community Health Needs Assessment done by Evanson, Cathedral Home was named as a potential community partner in implementing both social, economic, and behavioral mental health supports to help with our Albany County residents. And so we can't do it alone. And so we're asking for our community funding and community support to accomplish long-term successes. Do you have any questions?
Thank you both. Councilors, commissioners? Councilor Richardson, I guess, first.
Oh, okay, thank
Councilor
you.
Gabriel next.
Thanks so much for the presentation. In looking at this is more just a historical question. Seeing that Cathedral Home and Youth Crisis Center are working together, has that always been the case, or is this more recent? So I feel like I had like in my mind had them as two separate entities.
That's a really common thought, but it has always been operated by Cathedral Home. I believe it was established in 82 or 86, and since that time, it has been operated by Cathedral Home. Yeah.
Councilor Gabriel?
Thanks, Mayor. Curious if you are serving youth from out of county, because I can remember in years past, some people from Rawlins were coming over. Is that still the case?
It does happen. In particular at our residential program, so where the kids are living and staying, they can come to us from any place. Our resource center, those are Albany County folks. They live in this community, work here, get help here. And then the crisis center is largely Albany County. I believe the figure is about 84%, but we do sometimes have other counties in the state who are unable to meet that child's need, either due to capacity or safety issues, and so they may come and stay with us in Laramie.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
And you folks on Zoom, if you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand. That'll be the easiest way for me to track you. Developmental Preschool and Daycare Center is up next.
And I'm fine if you want to just skip the presentation. Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Council members, commissioners, I'm Jamie Stein. I'm the Executive Director for Developmental Preschool and Daycare Center here in Laramie. We provide developmental services, screenings, evaluations, early intervention services, special ed services, related therapies to children birth to 5 in our community who have been identified with having some sort of a developmental delay or disability. Those services include, like I said, special education, early intervention services, but we also employ physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists, counselors, to help provide all of these services that the children need to be able to live and thrive in their lives and in their education. All of those services are free of charge to the families. We are funded by state and federal sources primarily for those services. So we are regulated under Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is the exact same regulation that governs K-12 schools' special education services. So we have to do the exact same things that the school districts do for K-12, but at the preschool level. That is known as Part B of the IDEA, and that covers kids from 3 years old to 21 years old. Then the younger kiddos, those birth to 3-year-olds, are governed under Part C of the IDEA. So as I said, we're primarily funded under federal and state programs. And part of that funding that we receive requires a 3% match from local sources. So that comes from United Way, that comes from the county, that comes from the city, and it comes from other private and public sources. In this school year, 23-24, we are serving a record number of children. We have never seen this amount of children with disabilities identified in our county before. We are currently serving 227 kids that reside here in Albany County. That includes 104 kids birth to 3 and 123 kids that are 3 to 5 years old in our community. 35 of those kids we serve without ever receiving any funds from federal and state sources. And that's because we are funded on a 1 day per year count. So currently, with our current year, we receive funding based on the number of kids that were on our December 1st count. We have since identified 17 additional kids that we have to provide those services for, but we will never see an ounce of funding for. A little bit about our funding history with the state. We are funded under statute to provide these services to our communities, and that amount has not increased for us since 2011. So we've continued to provide the services, we've continued to identify kids, but we have never seen an ounce of increase from the state until last year, which we did receive a small increase of $600 per child. So as that trickles down, the school districts have continued to get external cost adjustments over that 13 years, and we have not been able to receive a single one through the legislature. That means that as of right now, today, with our funding that we have today, we're funded at about 40% less than what the school districts are receiving to provide the same services that are provided in the school. That is changing because Senate File 19 was passed through the legislature and signed into law, which will increase our statutory funding for next year, which will be a big help, and then it will finalize with the full amount in our 25-26 school year. The other thing that happened with Senate File 19 was our child count date has changed to May 1st. So that will capture all of these additional kids that we continue to identify through the school year and allow us to receive that funding for those kids. So in all, what that means for us is a great thing. We are going to see about a $325,000 increase in our budget for this next fiscal year, but that also means that our local match is going to increase by about $10,000. So our total request from city and county of $10,000 will help us. It's a little bit of an increase over what we've received in the past, but that will help us to meet that additional match request. And if we do receive that full $10,000, that will bring in about $333,000 in state and federal funds, which will allow us to fund about 6 of our therapists for the year. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Councilors, commissioners, Councilor Richardson, please.
Thank you. I was really happy to see that legislation go through, so congratulations. You'd noted in your application that you hope to resume fundraising activities. Can you share why those had been stopped in the past and what that kind of looks like for y'all?
Yes. We had been doing fundraising activities until COVID. And then with that, it was very difficult to get back into doing fundraising activities, and so we've been kind of easing into it. We actually have our next fundraising event scheduled for May 4th, and so we'll be getting some information out about that new fundraising event here directly. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gabriel.
And just a comment, my daughter was in your program for a couple of years, and she's now a senior at UW and doing very well.
Amazing. I love hearing success stories.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Councilor Gabriel. Other questions, councilors? We've also had some experience with the developmental preschool or daycare, and very appreciated. Your work is meaningful, certainly to our family too.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Epson Center for Seniors is up next.
Hi, everybody. everybody.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having us. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Councilmen, I know you guys have a lot to go through tonight, so I appreciate your interest in what I have to say and what all of us have to say. As you all know, the Epson Center has been around for 50 years, and so we celebrated our 50th year last year with a lot of really great news. The biggest thing that we're looking at right now is significant increases in the number of meals that we're serving. Each year, those are going up by 10 to 11,000 per year. Watching it from the beginning of COVID until now, we've nearly doubled. We've gone from 30,000 meals to 55,000 meals. And so one of the things, even though COVID was this terrible experience, it really helped us to kind of reformat how we looked at things. It helped us to kind of capitalize on some non-traditional ways of doing things. One of those, of course, is actually reaching out to people when they weren't able to come in, and so we conquered that, kind of got through it. After that, then we were working on getting people accustomed to coming back in and feeling comfortable, and so we've spent a significant amount of time increasing our sanitization, increasing our spaces so that we have additional spaces so that people don't feel on top of each other, and so that's really been a great thing. The other kind of strange thing about COVID is there was some additional ARPA funding that was out there that we have utilized to come up with some innovative things for the center. Number one, we have developed this wonderful takeout program that we have. In the past, the state and the Fed did not allow takeout programs because they wanted either a home delivered meal program or a congregate program. And so with COVID being in there, it actually gives us another opportunity and our clients another opportunity to receive another meal through that. And so right now, technically, we have people that can be on all three of our programs. So they can come to the center for a meal, they can get something at home, and they can also take a meal when they leave the center. Now, as you guys know, everybody over the age of 60 is applicable for all of our services with no cost. We do receive state and federal reimbursement, which covers about 65%, including our local funding. And so the rest of that budgetary amount, about 35%, is what we do coming up with, number one, program income, and that's getting people to donate to the programs that they're participating in. The other one that's huge for us is fundraising, which, that's been kind of an adventure, but we've actually been able to get back into our fundraising events. We have our next one coming up on August 24th, and it's going to be a family fun night, and so that's kind of an exciting thing. It's our second year of doing that. But what the money from the city and the county does for us is to help us just offset some of those additional fees. The fuel that we get from Albany County is instrumental in allowing us to be able to provide the transportation. Last year, we did almost 8,800 rides. We're looking this year, I'm looking at a 10% increase in a lot of our areas there, as far as 10% more rides, 10% more meals, 10%, I'm looking at 10% more clients, which would put us a little bit under 1,800 as far as folks that actually check in. But that's kind of what we're looking at about 5 years. We're trying to figure out what that's going to look like for us, not only between transportation, but meals and all the activities and programs that we provide. And so exciting times for us. We have a really fabulous board right now that people are really engaged and are interested in what we're doing. So they're providing that support, not only operationally, but in the fundraising efforts as well as we have like a facilities committee that we're getting ready to do some improvements in our parking lot, because we've got a building that's sinking and a dangerous parking lot that is an ice skating rink for our patrons that should be not on ice skating rinks. And so, we have been really lucky. We've also been lucky in the sense that we've had some heritage gifts that are out there. So we've got some long-term funding that we're looking at, and not necessarily endowment, but funding that's set aside for times of need. And luckily, we haven't had to pull from that. We've been plugging right along. And so we have an excellent staff right now, people that are really, really encouraged by what we're doing, folks that aren't afraid to just get out there and reach out to those folks and get them into the center with new ideas, new games, activities, different meals, and things like that. And so I just want you guys to know how much your support means to us. We are working on getting a new sign put out front of, so we have our new stick sign. You guys have seen it, hopefully. We finally got that repaired after the wind took care of it, but we're also looking for something that we can have out there that tells people, hey, this is the meal of the day, this is the activities of the day. And so lots of interesting opportunities for us, and you guys will be seeing a lot more from us, and yeah, look forward to working with y'all. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioners? Okay.
Wonderful, you guys. As always, thanks so much for your support.
Thanks to you as well.
Have a good one, guys.
And I should recognize county staff for being here too. I forgot to do that at the beginning, so thank you all for taking time to be here too. All right, Family Promise of Albany County. Welcome.
Hello, friends. How are you guys doing tonight? Awesome. Thank you for letting us be here. Thank you for everyone for being here. My name is Shaylee Dimoff. I am the new Executive Director of Family Promise of Albany County. As you guys might be aware, we've had a lot of ups and downs in our organization over the last couple of years, and so when I came in, there were a lot of things to clean up and rejuvenate and figure out paths for things. We are a part of a nationwide organization, so Family Promise National is our umbrella organization, and with the guidance of Family Promise National, we were able to execute 3 major programs for our community, and that is rental and utility assistance, the shelter program, and the community-wide diaper and hygiene pantry. Although we are very fortunate to get funds from all kinds of areas, whether it's CSBG funding, fundraisers, local donors, things like that. With the increase of people in need of rental and utility assistance in our community, right, with the housing market the way it is, our ask from you guys is directly supporting those first 2 programs, and so that is the rental and utility assistance as well as the shelter programming. So as of 2023, we served 408 individuals in those 2 programs alone. All right, that's not including the thousands of individuals that we see through the diaper pantry, but specifically for those 2 programs, 408 individuals, 112 families, and the impact is only increasing. So over the last 6 months since I started in this position, our families have increased 2 times since the 6 months prior. So we were averaging about 5 to 6 families per month in those 2 programs, and now we're averaging 15 to 16 families per month in those programs. And because of where the rental need is in our community, we are trying to diminish the amount of families who experience that homelessness piece. So the ones that go into that shelter program, and for those of you who don't know, we do operate out of that hotel system. So contacting those hotels, seeing if they have a space available, and allowing our families to be in there for a short period of time as we help them through case management to get back on their feet into a home in a sustainable position. Because our mission, after all, is helping those families that are either currently experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness, and then helping them to become sustainable and independent through this community-based response. And so in terms of the funding that we're asking from you guys is a lot more than we've ever asked for, because the need is more than we've ever had. Specifically, these funds will go toward matching funds. So remember when I said that we are a part of Family Promise National? We were selected to get 2 grants, so the Help Us Move In grant through Family Promise National, as well as the Future Begins at Home grant through Family Promise National, and both of those come with matching fund requirements. And so with the contribution from you, we're able to then increase that amount to an additional $35,000 for our program, and so that in net looks like about $55,000-$60,000, which covers a lot of our programming. But again, in these two services alone last year, we spent $96,000. So if it goes to the match, then that's about half of our funding. So even if for some reason we can get matches from other places to fuel that side of it, it would still contribute to that other half that would be looking for these programs anyway. And so I think the biggest thing is the fact that our service, again, focuses on that family aspect, and we deal with every single one of these organizations in this room. Most of these unfortunate individuals have sat in a room with me asking questions about, like, I didn't know you guys are still around, or I haven't heard from Family Promise in a while, what are you guys doing? And so we're trying to re-enliven our organization and help those families in need, and again, through that community-based response to make sure that your dollars, our dollars, go as far as possible. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councilors and commissioners, any questions? Councilor Richardson, please.
Thank you. I just have one. I had heard that the hotel program, those number of rooms have decreased in this last year. Is that true? And can you bring a little insight to that if it is or isn't?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to clarify the need, it has not decreased, the numbers have decreased, right? So we still get the need for it, but between availability of those hotels, because unfortunately our families get kicked out on game day, which we love, but we also want to try to diminish that trauma response that families have to endure by leaving their home, getting into the space that's not their own, and then getting back into a place. And so yes, the number, we're working really hard to decrease those numbers, keep those families in their homes or at least a stable condition. And funding wise, that means putting a little bit more money toward, rental assistance or getting them into new homes or things like that. Yeah, good question.
So just to follow up, sorry. So, but are the number of rooms that were available, are they still at that same level, or have the number of rooms decreased? I
see what you're saying. So availability wise, we're at the mercy of the hotel. So, at any given time, we could have 1, 2, 3 families in need of a shelter service, but it's going to be dependent on what hotels are willing to give us that space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, please, Commissioner.
Yeah. Shay, as far as your diaper and hygiene pantries, that's still being administered out of the Presbyterian Church?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, our home is the United Presbyterian Church right there on 11th and Grand by the new parking structure, and that is again open to the entire community, so you guys can come and visit us anytime you want. But also we have launched the diaper and hygiene, or the mobile diaper and hygiene pantry as well, and that was thanks to winning Spark Tank last year. Well, not winning, but third place. Either way, it works. And so you'll actually be seeing the diaper and hygiene pantry kind of throughout the community this summer.
And is that in the basement of the church?
So yeah, so the static site is in the basement of the church, so just ring the doorbell. One of our volunteers will come up, kind of take your order and fill it as best we can, and then kind of get you on your way. And then when we have that mobile pantry out in the world, that will operate the exact same way.
Okay, for any of the other assistance, your services, you still go through the Presbyterian Church?
Yes, yep.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor Newman.
Does the hotels that you work with give you some sort of stipend or a discount on rooms?
Once upon a time, we got a discount, and so a couple other organizations do, have work with hotels in town. And once upon a time, we had signed agreement for the entire year for, let's say, like $30 a night. Well, since then, they haven't been as agreeable to signing those contracts, getting that discounted rate. And just because we've had a good relationship with those managers on site, I can just call up one of them, because we've worked with them quite a bit, and say like, hey, we're looking for a family. Is there any kind of like leverage or leeway that we can kind of work with you? So unfortunately, we don't get that $30 a night like we once did, but I think it's a cheaper rate than the public gets, so at least that's good. But the goal eventually would be to get a facility that isn't at the mercy of game days. So
Any others? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Hospice of Laramie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, commissioners and counselors. We wanted, I don't know what that's supposed to be. My name is Jessica Moen. I'm the executive director at Hospice, and this is our medical director, Dr. Conley, that's been volunteering for over 20 years, which is amazing. I haven't done anything for 20 years in a row, let alone something this amazing. We wanted to start off with a picture of the contribution that you guys both made last year, which was to resurface our parking lot. It desperately needed it. It was, kind of uneven and dangerous, and this was a fundraiser that we held last year, starting in our parking lot. So thank you so much for that. And on the next slide, I have a few facts about hospice. I included these with my application, so I won't read through all of them. But I wanted to highlight just a couple that I think are really important. Something that we do at hospice that people don't realize is we try and make the last chapter of life not only comfortable, but as special as possible. So we do all sorts of fun bucket list kind of items, even if it's something as simple as, having s'mores in the parking lot, which is now beautiful, or a shot of whiskey. We serve, I can't tell you how many made-to-order home-cooked meals that people want. We also provide 35 jobs with competitive salaries in Albany County. We served 115 patients last year, which is about a 20% increase in the number of patients, but 150% increase in the days of care that we provide, just meaning that we're being able to help people sooner on their journey. And 25% of the care that we give in the hospice facility is provided for free. So that's really where we put our fundraising dollars in. On the next slide, I don't have to harp on this point because everybody in this room has said it. We participate with all of these incredible organizations that are in this room tonight, and I know how tough it is for you guys to allocate the money. This is a great picture used with the permission of the patient, even though you can't see his face. Developmental daycare comes and trick-or-treats, and a lot of our patients like to dress up. It's also a really great time to talk about death with young patients in an age-appropriate way and teach them it doesn't have to be a scary and traumatic experience. So on to our request. We are asking for money this year, and it's a decrease in funding from our previous request, but we'd like to buy a portable bladder scanner, and I will let Dr. Conley talk about all the benefits that that provides to our hospice patients.
Well, bladder scanners basically help us to see how much urine is left in the bladder. And we have to do this somewhat frequently, but we don't have a bladder scanner. And medicine has changed a lot over the years. We're not doing bloodletting and colonic purging anymore, okay? But we're still using things like this. Would anybody like to try one of these? No. Pete, how about you? Anyway, and so since this is the last stages of their life, they're already in discomfort to begin with. And we're trying to basically help them to get through that. If we had a bladder scanner, we wouldn't have to use this, which also leads to other problems. You get urinary tract infections. Besides the discomfort, you can get all kinds of other problems, trauma. And so that's why we're asking for a bladder scanner, to make their lives a little bit easier in the last stages.
Thank you, guys. Any questions?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. As you know, I volunteer at the downtown clinic, and that looks very similar to the portable blood pressure machine. Are you guys going to confuse them?
No.
Definitely not. And
it's kind of like an ultrasound. What it is an ultrasound, basically, and you can look into someone's bladder, and you can guesstimate pretty closely how much actually urine is still in there. But we get these things, and our patients, unfortunately, no matter how much you do, and anybody will tell you, this doctor will tell you this, you start inserting something, foreign into the bladder, and you carry stuff with it, or just all the stuff that's around it, and it just likes to crawl up these little things. The next thing you know, you got another infection. We got one or two now. And even though you try sterilely, doctors in the hospital will tell you the same thing.
It's interesting you're carrying that around in your car.
She made me.
Just for effect, I thought I'd bring a visual aid. No one likes these.
Yeah, that's right.
Commissioner, I thought it was the best use of props you could imagine. Yes. There's not a person in here who didn't jump at the sight.
You can wave that and clear a room.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Any other questions?
Jessica, so the stay can be extended at hospice?
The stay? Yes.
The stay?
Mm-hmm. So to be on hospice care, you have to have a physician say that you reasonably have 6 months or less to live if the disease follows its normal course. But often when people get on hospice care and they get, kind of more tailored treatment where they get to be the boss, people improve a little bit. And we often have patients, and that's what we've been seeing with our 150% increases, patients on services for a longer period of time, which really leads to a better outcome. We get to know them and understand their wishes and can make things. But yes, hospice often extends beyond that 6 months, and that's no problem.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Climb Wyoming. Climb Wyoming is next. Welcome.
I got a warning from Tim not to eat into his time, so he's got me going. Good evening. I'm Nicole Sherwood with Climb, Wyoming. First, I want to say thank you for this opportunity and for being such a supportive and involved council and commission. In my brief stint as reporter, once upon a time, I really enjoyed community coverage, so thank you for allowing us to be here. You're probably more familiar with Katie Hogarty in this role. She was in this role for many years. She is now the statewide CEO for Climb. She wanted to be here this evening, but she wanted to share her thanks for the city being such an awesome supporter of our program and for being an investor and also a strong employer partner with Climb, Wyoming. So now you get me, not near as awesome as Katie, but here I am. And on to business. We work with single low-income mothers. We provide free job training and placement. We're a mental health-based organization that supports moms before and during program and after job placement so that they are successful in their future jobs. And we offer stabilization services, so we work with a lot of community partners. We've done a lot of work with Shaylee this year because rent it's a real struggle for a lot of our moms. And we support them through training barriers, whether that's childcare or their mental health barriers. So a lot of our funding dollars are in direct support of that program. 83% of it are just program specific. So I'm not a huge numbers fan, but I do have slides. Do we have those up anywhere? I did email them on Friday, so hopefully they're here. Tim, this isn't my fault. Okay.
Tim, we're just going to take this time off of yours.
I'll donate 30 seconds.
If there ever was a room that I thought could share well with each other, it's this one, so I think we're going to be okay.
Tim does
I apologize, everyone.
That's okay.
City Clerk, it wouldn't happen without you, so we're just thankful you're here.
It is not coming up in my emails from Nancy.
Nicole, if you want to email those afterwards, we'll
Yeah, I can. So
do it that way.
they're just numbers. I mean, we do 2 programs in a year. So we serve in the over 20 years that we've been in the Laramie location, we've served almost 400 moms and I want to say close to 1,000 children in this program. So those are some of our numbers that this funding asks that we support. And then we show some of the other data is the impressive numbers that our program has statewide. So we've saved the state of Wyoming over $120 million in resources, like food stamps and WIC dollars. So because our moms' wages, they increase dramatically. So at the start of program, 60% of our moms are unemployed. And by 2 years post-program, their wages have increased 123%. So those are what some of the asks that we have. They go to that direct support service for those moms, and so that we reimburse wages for employers too for the first couple of months so that we can have that support and we can negotiate time for them to come in and meet with us, and we do job evaluations and we meet with the employer regularly and with that mom for both mental health and employment health. So, and then lastly, the return on investment, it costs us about $17,000 per mom to serve. And the return on investment in the first year is 2 to 1, and in the lifetime of a mom's working history, it's 62 to 1 a return. So it's really a beneficial program, not only for Laramie and our community, but statewide. So it's an incredible investment, and it serves not only our moms, but also their children, and it helps with the generational poverty. So we see a great increase in just productivity overall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council members, commissioners?
So Nicole, you say you serve about 100 mothers per year. Each of the program, one lasts 6 months, so do you cap it at like 50 or?
So we do 2 programs a year, and the 340 is in the history that Laramie Climb has been in business. So we serve about 20 moms per year. We run 2 programs, so 9 to 12 moms per program. And we keep it small so that they learn how to build community and they learn how to network with each other, and because it's mental health based. So they have group counseling and individual counseling. So we keep the numbers small, but over the course of Laramie Climb was 340 as of last fall.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions? Okay. Well, thank you. And email us over that presentation.
Well, 40 seconds.
Laramie Connection Center. For your full 5 minutes.
Yes.
What's yours?
I just saw it. I just saw it.
Okay.
Good evening, City Council members and commissioners. My name is Tim Snowbarger, and I have been the Executive Director for Laramie Connection Center since its inception in January of 2019. It's good to stand before you again tonight to tell you a little bit about our previous year and what we anticipate in the year ahead. Laramie Connections has served in the gaps across our community with a great sense of collaboration in order to best serve the ongoing needs that we are addressing tonight. These gap services have an ebb and flow and have had that flow depending on some of the intensity. Is this working? There we go. Sorry about that. That ebb and flow has had a dependency on the intensity or the frequency need of those services that they help meet. Our current free GAP services do include our Sunday community meal. You may have seen the flags and signs for those every Sunday. Our non-emergent medical and lifestyle transportation, which in 2024 we have added low-income vehicle repair services as well as a referral program for loaner vehicles. Also our Sunday evening faith gathering and our community volunteer resourcing that we offer throughout the community. But tonight our request is focusing on our free transportation services. In 2023, it has tripled. The numbers have been crazy. To watch nearly 3,400 ride requests fulfilled and close to 300 of those rides being served out of town for those types of needs. These rides have been primarily fulfilled in the previous years by a team of about 10 to 12 volunteers weekly. But the growth in 2024 is really due to the ride requests being upwards of 70 and 80 rides per week. That's Monday through Thursday, and then also on Sundays. It can be also up to 3 round-trip out-of-town rides even a day. We were able to hire 2 part-time drivers this year, but more are needed to help keep up. Some of the additional numbers, though, is that there were over 350 ride requests that went unfulfilled, just based on our current limitations, whether that was schedule or the number of drivers with access to the vehicles. On top of that, there were over 50 requests that were even out for further locations, as far as Rock Springs, Casper, even Denver, even Salt Lake for a couple of medical needs that were unable to be filled. So collaboration really is our lifeblood. That's where we know where to connect, how to find these needs as others have. This is a list of some of our more regular referral partnerships, but we have had the privilege and finding favor with working with so many of our nonprofit partners in town. This year, one of the newest ones we've really enjoyed partnering with has been the Albany County Supervised Treatment Program, or else drug court as it's known, helping a lot of those participants find ways to get to the appointments they need, jump through the hoops for getting forms turned in and making it to their certain level of required attendances, but also finding ways for them to find volunteer hours or even employment. I would tell you real quick the story of Dylan. He is a former drug court participant, ready to graduate very soon. Started out volunteering with us, came to our Sunday meal. From there, he needed community hours, so he started helping work on on some of the vehicles, clean them out. Now he's one of our part-time drivers, and he's also our shop manager at our shop space that we have over on Skyline Road. But here the needs are as they kind of continue to grow with the ever-pressing requests that come in. Mainly, we have staffing and equipment. We really do need to increase those part-time drivers to help meet the need. We're looking to hire 2 more of those this year. Adding vehicles is huge. We have 2, but we need a 3rd ADA compliant vehicle because that need goes unmet in so many ways. We also need another high capacity vehicle and even a 4x4 to help us on some of those days getting over the pass. On the support side, our office staff continues to grow. Our scheduling software continues to get beefier. Our vehicle maintenance staff that we have, plus marketing and promotional materials that we need. Some of those tangibles are the rental of the shop space I mentioned. ARPA helped us come across the first year for that rental space, and now we won't survive without it. Safe space for the vehicles to be stored and to work on others. Vehicle upkeep and upgrades is huge. Our fuel and insurance is always rising, background checks and training, and so that's where our requests lie. Really, it's kind of the idea of what's driving the growth, and that is some of the limitations that we face. Our public transit system has its limitations, as you know. Other available current services are amazing, but some might have requirements or fees. Also within that is the awareness of how real the needs are. I have never known not having transportation. I got my permit at 15. I've always had access to it. And to see the need that brings when someone is challenged with mobility. On top of that, then, our current approach, a lot of times we're using emergency services to make transportation for non-emergency needs, limited resources that people spend on temporary solutions like a rental car or an Uber or a taxi, and then also just for going to appointments altogether because they can't get there. So we just want to say thanks. We really do appreciate the relationship, the time that you've given tonight, the caring that you have for all of the requests, and definitely the support that you've given in the past. Last year you helped us a ton. We look forward to doing so much more in 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilors and commissioners, any questions? All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. All right, next up is Laramie Downtown Clinic, Director Gosar.
Good evening, Mayor Harrington, honorable members of the City Council and County Commission. Thanks for being willing to host me virtually tonight. I have to tell you, I'm a bit scared when I saw Dr. Conley with that instrument. It unnerved me a bit. And so the Downtown Clinic for 25 years has provided healthcare to people free of charge, with the basic understanding that healthcare is a right. Free primary and specialty care services for, in 2023, 370 friends and neighbors in Albany County, 2,670 in-clinic visits, 3,300 prescription medicines with a retail value of over $505,000 delivered to people living on the margins in our community. What was new in 2023, for the first time, we've had a full-time social worker on staff. We have now a dedicated primary care provider. Every minute the clinic's open, there is primary care available. And we went into van life with a mobile mental health and social work program that started in October, and we look to branch out from there. Our request is $15,000 to offset the cost of prescription medications that we can't get online for free or through the Wyoming Medication Donation Program. We buy wholesale. And then to offset the salaries of our pharmacy interns. Both of those, through my history there, have been from the UW School of Pharmacy. Usually an upperclassman we pair with somebody beginning the program so that when they get to their rotations at the end of their career, we have somebody who knows our system and moves up, and we hire another person from the pharmacy school. So in 2023, 65 community and healthcare professionals donated some sort of their time, over 3,000 hours of donations to our community. For us, we don't take any money that's dedicated from the federal government or the state government. We are all fundraised and grant written, and that's been that way for as long as anybody can remember. Since it's our 25th year, we'll have our 25th bash in the garden at some point, and we'll be sure to send the invitations along. So with that, I'll leave anybody with any questions that they might have for the Downtown Clinic, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Director Gosar. Councilors, commissioners, questions? Okay. Well, thank you. Laramie Home on the Range Animal Haven. Welcome.
Thank you. I am Pam Brecken, a familiar face to probably most of you, and I'm here with Home on the Range, also known as Hoorah. We are heading into our 12th year as Laramie and Albany County's first and only farm animal sanctuary. Currently, there are 21 animals at our facility, and all of them have been neglected, abused, or abandoned. A lot of them are older animals that need extra supplements and care. And our family includes horses, ponies, donkeys, goats, and some sheep. They live with us forever. They're not adoptable, so they spend the rest of their lives with us. They've had backgrounds that weren't good, so they're happy with us now. And with those animals, we have quite a big food bill for them. So this year we are requesting $7,000, which is actually less than we requested last year. And that would help cover approximately half of our expenses for the feed and supplements. And then we will continue to do other fundraising and donor appeals throughout the year to help cover the additional $33,500 that we need to keep going and keeping everyone fed and safe. Last year we added a couple new things. We started with a family fun fair as a fundraiser, and it's in the newsletter that we sent out to you guys so you can read all about it and all the fun things that we had available. This year we're going to hold it again in September out at the fairgrounds, so hopefully it'll be a little bit more accessible for people to find. And we also have a volunteer informational fair coming up May 4th at the library. Our intention with this is to get the word out about us, have more people be involved, and get those community members that have talents and skills that can come help us out and be part of the transformation process that goes on at Home on the Range. We're also excited to be starting a new collaboration with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I know Hannah mentioned it a little bit about their diversion program. So this is a restorative justice initiative that'll pair first-time offenders with community service opportunities that reflect their interests instead of just sending them out to pick up pine cones or trash. This initiative is looking to have them engaged in something they're interested in. So if they're interested in older folks, they can go volunteer at Epson Center. If they're interested in horses or farm life or anything like that, they'd come out, do their community service with us, graduate, and then hopefully get that spark that will help continue them on in their lives. Additionally, we're also going to be setting up time for bigs and littles to come out, hang out with the animals, learn about them, and see what it takes kind of to run an animal sanctuary. And we are super looking forward to summer. I mean, who isn't? You know, we think it's here and then it's not. But summertime is an exciting time at Home on the Range because Cathedral Home counselors and residents come out probably about 5 or 6 times during the summer and do projects. Last year they helped us put in some gates. They built a goat runway, and they also helped us do some raised gardens, which was great for the animals to munch on at the fall. We also worked with the Pharmacy Club at UW. First Interstate Bank employees came out again for their afternoon of Commitment to Volunteer Day. They helped put on some fronts on one of our loafing sheds to give more protection for the equines during the lovely Wyoming winters. And we added 2 new family members this year, Arthur and Percy. They were Nubian goats that were used for goat tying. And then, of course, they got big and kind of unruly for that sport. So they were on their way to the auction house, which is not a good thing for goats. And their young owner contacted us and asked if we would take care of them, and we said yes. And they've added a lot of fun to the barnyard. We also lost 3 of our animals this year. Simon, our old donkey at 37, Sierra, the little girl donkey, who was 22, and our miniature goat, who was Sophie, and she was 16. Most of those animals spent their whole life with us. That's a tough part of our work, but it's rewarding to see the growth and improvement with the animals and the people. In closing, I'm asking for your continued support because your funding truly makes a difference and allows us to provide our opportunities. We are solely donation and fundraising supported. We get grants from you, and we've gotten a couple grants from Wyoming Community Foundation, which is helpful. And we believe in the mental health benefits of people and animals connecting. Everyone prospers. The animals prosper from the interaction with the people get happy from being with the animals, and we know that happy people are more productive in the community, and it's a good thing. So if anyone wants to come out and visit, let me know. If you want to come to our volunteer fair, let me know. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Councilors and commissioners, any questions? Councilor Gabriel?
Thanks, Mayor. Pam, thanks to all what you have done over the years. You've been with us now a long time, you and your staff, and thanks for your great work. I was just wondering, do you often get people bringing animals, like say if they're going to move to a different area and they might not be able to take care of them, or to like a remote area, a different job, that type of thing, that will leave animals with you?
That's one of the reasons why we don't publicize our location. I mean, everyone knows where we are, but we don't publicize it so people don't just come and drop animals off, because we do have a certain capacity that we can handle. So we usually get referrals and calls, and then Deb, the caretaker out there, talks with them, and we see if we can actually take in that animal and have the capacity and resources to take care of them. And if we don't, because we get a lot of calls for chickens and roosters, and we don't have ability to take fowl out there right now. We don't have a chicken coop or anything right now. So we then work with other organizations, maybe out of state or whatnot, that could take those animals and critters. So we always try to find a place for everybody. And we just, like I said, I mean, we have limited capacity and staff, so.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Laramie Interfaith is up next. Welcome.
Hello. Oh, I don't have my slides either.
I didn't get any from Nancy, so we'll double check.
I got an email back that said you did. Well, that's all right. It's a bunch of numbers, and you guys will get it anyways. My name is Josh Watanabe. I'm the Executive Director for Laramie Interfaith. For about 30 years now, we've been trying to find ways to help the community and help those in need. For about 25 years, we've kind of solidified on working on housing and food, which is what we do now. So we have our food pantry here in town that everybody, I think, is familiar with. We do about 400,000 pounds of food each year that goes out to the community. We do that through our pantry, but we also distribute out to Hospice and Epson Center, Soup Kitchen. We trade food back and forth. Albany County School District helps us get food out to families who are in need. We have our satellite pantry up in Rock River as well. And then on the housing side, obviously we're helping folks stay current on utilities so they can have power, have water, remain in their homes. Not really remarkably different than Family Promise, except that we're open to everyone, and our programs are typically a little bit shorter. We don't take folks in for months at a time. We'll help them out and just kind of keep going, and hopefully they can make some changes quicker. Of course, we also do our rent assistance, which is where we've seen the biggest change. Last year, at this point in time, we were still all working through ERAP, which was millions and millions of dollars, and that went away in the middle of last year. So what we've seen now, just here in the past 3 months, we've had over 100, I don't remember the number now, but I think it's 150, close to that, applications for rent assistance for folks who are looking at getting evicted within either 3 days or 30 days. And that total has been close to $150,000. Obviously, we don't have that anymore, but as everyone else in the room has said, the need for services just keeps growing. So we're not all that different. Our request this year is the same as last year for $40,000. The City of Laramie money is used primarily to help folks stay current on their water. Water is an essential utility. Without water, you can't shower, you can't drink, your house is not so good, your personal hygiene goes down, it's hard to maintain a job. There's all sorts of things that we need water in our homes for. So that's primarily what we use, although we do flex that funding in cases where someone may not fit some of our federal grants, but still have an extraordinary need. So that's what the city's money is used for. Last year, we had over 130 volunteers donate over 3,000 hours. We host the Big Brothers Big Sisters diversion program. We host a program for Whiting High School, and we have a number of businesses that come in, especially during the holidays when we do our holiday program that everyone's familiar with, I think, or has seen, but we provide all of the things you need to make a Thanksgiving or Christmas meal. Last year, we did a little over 650 of those out to the community, which is double what we've typically done. All of our numbers have pretty much doubled. So, other than that, that's where we're at. We appreciate you guys listening to us, supporting us for this many years, and to be in the room with all these other great places.
Councilors and commissioners, do you have any questions for Laramie Interfaith? Yeah, please, Commissioner.
Josh, you mentioned what the request from the city is for. What are you spending the $20,000 from the county on?
I'm sorry. The county is also the same. County does the exact same thing, just through county sources. So there's the 7 Mile gas and water out there. We just try to, it makes sense to use county money to pay for folks that are out in the county, city money to pay for folks that are in the city. So.
Also, your program to pick up the Christmas trees after Christmas.
Yes.
How successful has that been? I mean, I'm happy to pay $50 to have you come pick it up. But,
I'm going to make a note of that for next year.
I'm going to get a 50 and everything else.
So yeah, I think 3 years ago, one of our board members came up with the idea to help do Christmas tree pickup as a program and a fundraiser because the city was no longer doing that. And it's fairly successful other than the logistics of it. We don't have the experience or the software to be like an Uber or something like that, and so trying to draw maps and get people to go out and pick all of that up is a bit of a challenge. But it's a nice little fundraiser to start the year off with. So
that's great. Other questions? All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to be here. Laramie Soup Kitchen is up next. Welcome.
Well, good evening, all. Councilors, commissioners, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you tonight. My name is Ted Kramer, the director of the Laramie Soup Kitchen, if you don't know me. What the Soup Kitchen does is we provide wholesome meals Monday through Friday to all who are in need, whether that's financially or if they're lonely. And how do we do that? Primarily is through our food recovery specialists. And so this ask has to do with our food recovery specialists. It has historically as well. And this is the team of individuals who go around and they collect food around town. So they've actually captured 171,000 pounds of food last year from local grocery stores, caterers. A big new addition in the last couple of years has actually been commercial kitchens. That has led to us shifting kind of the way that we produce meals. So previously we were able to share a good portion of our resources with other agencies. We still do that. So we actually shared 32,000 pounds of food with other agencies, 20 other agencies in fact. Interfaith receives about 50% of that food, as Josh mentioned. We do share food back and forth. But the big shift is that when we get catered food in, it's not as easy to share with other agencies. So now we are creating prepared meals in addition to the hot meals that we typically serve anyway. So we served about 30,000 hot meals last year and an additional 20,000 prepared meals. A little harder to count. We actually think that that number is low. So in comparison, pre-pandemic, we were serving about 20,000 meals total. So we've significantly increased the amount of food that's going out there. So we were able to achieve that through this team of individuals that are going around and collecting the food. What's really surprising is how stable that line item budget is. So as we're adding more and more partners, they are extremely efficient and their costs are about the same, which is really exciting. In previous years, I didn't actually say what the total budget line item was. I just did our ask, and so this ask actually shows our full budget line item, and that we're asking about 80% of that budget line item. So I guess one big question would be why support the Soup Kitchen again? First of all, Soup Kitchen is at now 41 years in the community, so I think that's really great. I've been with the organization for about 8.5 years, but we're a true grassroots organization. 94% of the funding in 2023 was non-governmental and local. So there's a new question in this year's application that talks about the number of grants that we wrote. We wrote 3. So we are not primarily grant funding, and who that is Guthrie Family Foundation, who is supporting most of the nonprofits in the room. Walmart, as it turns out, gives us a small grant, and we have a small federal grant, Emergency Food and Shelter Program, that's administered through the United Way. But all other funding is essentially local. So it's a great way for the city to partner with the Soup Kitchen, is to help provide a little bit of assistance to help cover the costs of these positions. They are on average picking up 678 pounds a day. They're driving 300 miles a month. We pay them IRS mileage reimbursement. So that's part of the ask today. And then just recently we received 2 pallets of cheese. So I think it was 1,850 pounds of pepper jack. Things like that happen, and it's about our relationships, and these individuals build great relationships with local businesses and groups so that they can get great food and make sure that we're diverting that food away from the landfill and to people who need it most. And that's why it's so critical to both have the food coming in for the Soup Kitchen, but also being able to share that with other agencies. And any food that isn't fit for human consumption, if it's vegetarian, can be shared with local ranchers, and we do that as well. So that's part of our zero food waste policy at the Soup Kitchen. So I think that kind of covers it.
Great. Any questions? Okay.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Same to you. Next up is Regency Retirement Residents of Laramie. Welcome. If you hand the stack to the city clerk, we'll all get them at the end.
Okay.
Thank you and welcome.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and commissioners. I'm the new kid on the block, I guess, this year. I represent the Regency Retirement Residents of Laramie. My name is Christine Costin. I'm the director. The Regency is a retirement home for seniors. It is independent living, it is self-run, it is self-sustainable, and it is very affordable. The Regency is a 501c3. Our rent may not be HUD low income, but it's very affordable for seniors, anywhere between $800 and some dollars a month to $1,200 for a beautiful place to live that is safe, full of activities and love. We have been home for hundreds of seniors in nearly the past 30 years. We've been a part of Laramie. Our seniors represent retired teachers, professors, lawyers, nurses, law enforcement. They are the missing middle that we tend to forget about sometimes. I started at the Regency 3 years ago. 3 years ago, our wait list was 10 Today, it's 30, and we've had to cap it for the first time. 3 years ago, my calls were mainly from local people, surrounding towns in Wyoming. Now I'm getting calls throughout the nation. 3 years ago, my residents moved away, mainly to be closer to family. Today, it's because they don't have the right amount of care here. 3 years ago, my residents planned on extending their care longer at the Regency by outsourcing some in-home care. In-home care for 1 month for someone is $20,000. 3 years ago, assisted living prices were $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Now, they are $7,000 to $10,000. I have several phone calls a week, several emails, several drop-bys for people who need housing now. When I have to tell them I have a wait list of 30 people, they about cry. We've had to recently restrict our wait list for having some connection to Laramie and Wyoming because people look at us as super affordable and they want to come here just for the price. And we're trying to look out for our people. We have a budget of about $400,000 and we operate on 20-some thousand a month, and we do pretty well. We are hoping, since our land is paid off, to provide an assisted living wing that will house 22 to 24 assisted living residents. We're asking for some support today for our planning stages. We will hopefully be able to ask you for support through construction. However, our goal is to be self-sustaining like we are now. In looking at your housing study, your Thrive study, the Wyoming Health and Aging Data Report, the Albany County Housing Report, Age-Friendly Laramie Goals, we know we're in line with your goals. We want to make a difference. There's a real need here. Our building is going to be unique because we're looking to have it affordable. We are looking to have a living building, the first ever in Wyoming, and a green energy net zero building to keep our costs low. We believe that we can both provide quality along with affordability. This will be the first graduated care senior housing from independent living to assisted. What that means for seniors is less transitions, less moves, less upheavals. It's very hard on seniors to constantly have to move. We've hired an architect firm, Berg, which is local, and it's an energy resource group through the university. They used to be affiliated, and we hope to let students have a wonderful opportunity to learn as this building goes up and be able to see firsthand what this is about. I talk too slow.
You're just fine if you want. Go ahead and finish up.
Oh, okay. We want to stop sending our seniors out of Laramie and out of Wyoming. We want to be a model for everyone else in Wyoming to follow. 100% of the people that we've spoken to with our brochures and our flyers don't just say, oh, that's a nice idea. They say, we absolutely need this. 3 years from now, I'm hoping that we can say we made a difference in the lives of our seniors in Laramie. Thank you for your support, and I hope you will be supporting us.
Thank you so much. Councilors and commissioners, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you so much. And welcome to the party, since it's your first time. Robbie's house is up next. Welcome.
Hello. You've got my PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So my name's Oscar Lilly with Robbie's House. It's wonderful to see all of you. I'm not used to being in front of a speaker. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So I'm going to ask a rhetorical question real quick. Who here in this room is either living with mental illness or has a loved one living with mental illness? It's everybody in the room. It's rhetorical, right? Everybody's got it. And we wonder, especially after a suicide or after a downward decline in our loved ones and the people we care about in this community, we always ask ourselves, could we have done something differently? Could we have caught something before this drastic act happened? And I always ask myself that same question. Mental illness destroyed my father's professional and private life. I've been hospitalized multiple times for mental illness. When I moved back to Laramie, I looked around after a horrible suicide of a very young person in Laramie, and I thought, how on earth can I be involved and make a difference as an individual living in Laramie? And the way I did that is I looked around and I said, what's a grassroots effort that I can get involved and save somebody's life? And I latched on to Robbie's House. When we first started Robbie's House, we had next to nothing in funds. We didn't have word of mouth. We didn't have people that recognized who we were. And we were literally begging people to show up for our soup days. Since that time, since I first got started a few years ago, and now that I've become the executive director, we are almost maxing out our building. We're almost running out of space to accommodate all the people that are coming to us to be a part of the community that we are building. Next slide, please. Or can I do it?
Yeah, you can.
I just hit this middle button?
The right.
The right button, thank you. So real quick with the model, and this is why I really gravitated towards Robbie's House. The clubhouse model is not based on so much as providing services, but providing an opportunity to build a mutually supportive community of people living with mental illness. So it's member driven. So it's completely a bottom-up model. As an example of that, because of the increase in membership and volunteers that are coming every day, we've had to increase our services from 2 days a week to 3 days a week. I wanted to turn it into Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And many of our members said, please don't take our Tuesdays and Thursdays away. It's on our schedule, it's on our calendar, we can't change that. And so from that bottom-up decision-making process, we are not losing Tuesdays and Thursdays and having people have meltdowns and, oh, you're screwing with my schedule, don't do that. So now next week we're going to 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But that's an example of our model. It's member-driven, it's what the members need, that's what we provide. Do I like WrestleMania? No. But what is the next special activity that we do twice a month? It's a WrestleMania viewing on April 7th, because that is supporting 3 or 4 members in our clubhouse, and that's where Oscar's going to be on April 7th, is hosting a WrestleMania party. So that's what we do. We find out what matters to our members, and we provide the environment in which they can have that opportunity to be themselves and to have a mutually supportive community. We're killing the stigma with every new person we bring into that building. Next. And this is all based on Clubhouse International. We're working on accreditation. It's about a 3-year process. So it's very, very difficult to become accredited through Clubhouse International, but we are following Clubhouse International, and our members are actually even going to training for Clubhouse International. And part of Clubhouse International, a member has to be on the board of directors. And I am very happy to announce that 1/3 of our board of directors are members of Robbie's House, including myself. So that is a huge deal to us. Our wellness activities, gardening, we've got a garden on 8th Street that's owned by our founder, and that's the actual garden on the slide there. So gardening's huge. We found that with mental illness, a lot of things that have to do with your hands getting actually in the soil and in the clay is so soothing, so rewarding for people that oftentimes are afraid to even leave their homes. So we try to get things that are very kinesthetic activities. So we have gardening, we have ceramics and other art activities, and the ceramics are huge. Those are the ceramic wheels, and we actually have a kiln in-house. So we're actually making our own art, and because many of our members are below the poverty line, nearly all of them actually, we are actually providing opportunities for them to make their own art and then sell it and give a percentage to Robbie's House. So it provides another way for them to receive an income. Is that the beat for me to be done? Really?
That's it.
Goodness gracious. Well, all right. We're working on we're working on getting an oven. That's our big next thing, is to upgrade our kitchen. And we actually just, through our networking, we just landed a job for one of our members who would have been turned aside from 90% of any business doors in the area. We just landed him a job, and we landed him a job with a landscaper who's going to be building our deck labor-free. So that's actually kind of covered. So now we're looking at upgrading the kitchen and moving on to other challenges that we have. So I apologize for going over. I'm long-winded, and I don't think I've ever explained anything in 5 minutes, so I apologize. So are there any questions?
Speaking to a group of people who haven't either.
Yeah.
Any questions, folks? Councilor Richardson, please.
I would like to make a comment.
Oh, please.
Oscar.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Grandma Shirley would be so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor Richardson.
Thank you. It's really neat to see the growth of this organization over the years, so I appreciate you presenting. One question I have for you is, when someone does come to Robbie's House and present in a manner that you are concerned about, next steps in their safety, what does that look like for you as an organization?
Well, I'll give an actual example, and this was just, I'll say it's God-driven, just for my personal faith, but we had an individual, because of word of mouth and because of the signage we had, we were actually interviewing for an executive director on a Monday night. We weren't open, but this individual saw the sign, knocked on the door, maybe saw a light inside, and he said, "Is this Robbie's house? Am I in the right place?" We said, "Yes, but we're not open. What's going on?" He said, "I don't know who to talk to, but I'm afraid to go home." And I took him out, talked to him for a couple hours. He became a member. He became somebody who does card tricks. He's actually one of the leaders in our clubhouse. He just needed somebody to give a shit. That's what he needed. He was driving around Laramie looking for that. That's who we bring into our building. And we help the people that come into our building. I apologize for the language, but there's so many people that feel like they don't have anything and they don't know where to go. And I'm so grateful to be in a partnership with other nonprofits, because when I looked at the schedule, I thought, there's nobody more important than Robbie's House. This is ridiculous. This is a slam dunk. And then I saw the list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, climb, interfaith. I started looking at all that, and I'm like, Laramie needs everybody. It needs everybody to step in and help, and we've all got that angle that we're supporting the community, and we're there, and we'll do it whether we got nothing or whether we got the support of whatever grant we can get and however we can fundraise. But I told Debbie, I'll do this job for free. We are not stepping back. We're moving forward, and we're helping as many people as we can help. So, and I hope that whoever can become partners and help us out, you're welcome to join the party. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Safe Project. Welcome to you both.
Hello. I'm Amy Hafner, and this is Genevieve Riley. So I'm the director at Safe Project, and Jen is our assistant director. I've been with Safe for over 5 years, and I've been the director since January of last year, and Jen has been with Safe Project since 2009. We serve the community as the only advocacy agency and shelter for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking in Albany County. SAFE Project helps make the community a better place by working with over 400 unduplicated individuals each year. We served an average of 36 people per month in 2023. We provide safety and services to women, men, children, and pets. We have the only shelter in Albany County for survivors who are fleeing violence, and we provide safety, groceries, and other supplies during their stay. While in our shelter, clients work with our shelter and housing coordinator to find housing and work towards becoming sustainable once they are on their own. SAFE also has a campus service coordinator in a satellite office at the University of Wyoming who works with students from UW, WyoTech, and the Albany campus of LCCC. Our prevention and outreach coordinator works with the rest of schools in Albany County from preschool age through high school students. Our prevention goal is to be proactive and teach kids about healthy families, healthy relationships, teen dating violence, consent, boundaries, and so much more. This year, we are working on a new pony prevention program. We have partnered with the Equestrian Center through ARC Regional Services. This program will teach young teens about consent, boundaries, and healthy relationships through activities that involve working with the horses. We also have a volunteer coordinator who provides state mandated training for volunteers to help on our 24-hour hotline. Historically, we have relied on community partner funds for shelter and office operating expenses and programs including client services and prevention, as well as administrative time for grant writing and fundraising. Thanks to these funds, we were able to apply for grants and hold our signature fundraising event, which is our Brunch and Bubbly event. It's held in late summer. Plus, we send a year annual appeal and participate in Wyo Gives Day with other nonprofits in the state. Your funds also help make it possible to collaborate with other agencies to help on a community level. One of those ways is through the Sexual Assault Response Team, also known as SART, where we join other service providers and first responders to review cases and protocols to help serve and protect local victims of crime more effectively. SAFE Project lost a position in 2020, which left us with only 5 advocates, including myself. Our client numbers continue to rise each year, so our client load has been a challenge. In fiscal year 2024, from July up until now, SAFE Project has served 267 clients with 1,673 services and provided 2,034 bed nights in our shelter to 38 adults, 11 children, and 12 pets. Right now, we are faced with many financial challenges and barriers, just like many other nonprofits. We are facing potential federal funding cuts that could have a significant impact on our program, being able to continue serving survivors the most effective way, and in return may lead to people returning back to their abusers. Community partner funds will assist with general operating, personnel, and program expenses needed to meet SAFE Project's main goal of providing fundamental services to victims of domestic and sexual violence and stalking. In addition, some funds will go towards financial assistance for our clients so that we can help with essentials such as rent, groceries, gas, and other needs. Thank you for taking the time to consider SAFE Project's application.
Thank you both.
Yes, do we have any questions?
Councilor Newman, please.
I missed, how many people do you help per month?
So on average, in 2023, it was 36 people per month.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Next up, unaccompanied students initiative. Welcome. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, councilors and commissioners. My name is Jessica Sayers, and I'm the Executive Director of the Unaccompanied Student Initiative. And this is my colleague, Erin Brasheward, and she is our Laramie Program Coordinator. I will say that we are definitely the new kids on the block, and we appreciate the time for you to listen and hear a little bit about what the Unaccompanied Student Initiative is. We've provided you with some quick fact sheets, and we will go through a really quick presentation about what our organization does, and then I will follow up with our ask. Oh, she is, okay.
Just have a quick fax. Let me just double check.
That's okay. I will start off just real quick with that the Unaccompanied Student Initiative is a fairly new nonprofit that started in 2018 in Laramie County School District when we partnered with the school district for a point-in-time count, along with some community members that saw a gap in the need for student housing for youth that were considered homeless. Through that time frame up until today, we have implemented our program in Natrona County, and now we are proud to say that we are in Laramie County. We were asked by Laramie County, or excuse me, Albany County School District a little over a year and a half ago that they saw a need in the community as well. And so we were excited to pilot a program here and brought on Erin, and she did an amazing job making community connections and reaching out to the school district to create a partnership so that we were able to enter into Laramie with open arms to any of our students. I will say that one of our barriers with our students is identification. And so as an organization, we have been working with the HMIS system, which is a homeless management system throughout the state. And we are working currently with a federal grant to see if we can expand upon that for youth specifically. Unlike homelessness in certain areas where we can actually visually see that within our shelters, which we all know that in the state of Wyoming, we're overly impacted with that, with only 4 shelters within the state. For our youth, they are very difficult to identify. And there's multiple reasons for that, but because of that, we know that we need to have more data and more information, and so we're working really hard at that. I'm going to go ahead and let Erin speak to exactly what our program does and what we do.
Yeah, so Unaccompanied Students Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to provide safe and stable housing to youth ages 16 to 20 who are unaccompanied and experiencing homelessness. So, and there's a lot of different facets that play into that. We obviously provide transitional housing, so we provide shelter to our students. We cover all costs of living so that while they're living with us, they don't need to worry about, how to pay for medication or food or where they're going to be sleeping at night, right? And then our program has 2 focuses. One focus is education, so high school graduation is our #1 goal for all of our students, or high school equivalency, so through GED or HiSET. And then the other portion of our program is independent living. And so we facilitate a number of life skills courses. A couple of examples of those are financial literacy classes, which we do through the Uni-Wyo Credit Union. So that's budgeting, credit, just all of those financial skills that they need to live independently and be sustainable. And then another example of that is our nutrition classes through Sensible Nutrition at the university. And so they learn to cook for themselves and how to provide nourishing, nutritious meals for themselves. And some of the outcomes that we see from our program model are high school graduation for one, but then also just increased self-sustainability. So, we do driving lessons with our students. We help them find employment. And then obviously that budgeting piece of, so that's the 5-minute mark, but yeah.
We do recognize that we did have a very heavy ask with funding, and I would like to say that our hope was that as we entered into Laramie, we did not look at doing a brick and mortar. We feel it's much more important for us to bring the program to the students and meet them where they are. And therefore, we are currently renting a house, which was very difficult to do in Laramie in the first place. But we did find a house that would work for our students. So we're currently renting a house. Right now, as far as funding, we rely very heavily on our communities to help with our funding. We do have one federal grant currently. We rely on lots of fundraising opportunities in our communities. But because we are newer to Laramie, we are hoping that this would help in lifting us for long-term success for our program for in the future. Currently, right now, we are utilizing funds from the other 2 locations to maintain what we're doing in Laramie at this current moment.
Councilors and commissioners, do you have any questions? Yeah, please.
Jessica, explain to me your system. Do you have house parents then in this 4-bedroom home? Do they rotate or?
Wonderful question. Actually, we do have staff that we train. They are trauma-informed care trained, boundaries trained, CPR certified. So they do go through quite an intensive training system. We do call them house supervisors. And so we do have someone on staff 24 hours. So we do have somebody that sleeps there as well. For instance, we had a student up in Casper that in the middle of the night had an appendix burst and had to be rushed to the emergency room. And actually, we had to be their advocate in that moment because mom and dad were no longer in the picture. And so for those certain situations, we have somebody on staff 24/7.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions?
I would just like to end with that we see such a tremendous experience with some of the students in our program. I would like to state that currently we have 3 students that went through our program, graduated, went on to post-secondary education, and came back and are working for us. And there's nothing more amazing than seeing their relationship with these students and seeing them pour back into them. So that's where we know that we are stopping that intergenerational cycle of homelessness.
Thank you, and I appreciate
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both. Next up, Volunteers of America. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Take your time, City Clerk, no rush.
I know she's got a high stressful job this evening.
Does she ever?
Support all of us, so thank you.
Kind of seems like she never gets a night off.
Uh-huh. Perfect. Well, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good evening. My name is Kristen Cavello. I'm the Senior Director of Clinical Services for Albany and Laramie counties. I'm excited to be here this evening. However, I'd hoped to be able to stand in front of you this evening and say, we don't need this funding. However, it was brought to my attention, we need this funding. We need this funding in particular because payment reform is going to change how state-funded behavioral health services are allocated and received for us. The reform means the state will only fund treatment for clients of behavioral health centers who have either had household income at or below 200% of the poverty line, of the federal poverty line, and do not have public or private health insurance or fall into the specific priority populations that I have highlighted up here. And so we're headed into some major changes coming in July 1st. So what I would have expected in the past is going to look different for us, and there's a lot of unknowns for us across the board. And looking back here, this gives you a look at what our services are across our 3 states. And you can see, thankfully, down here in Albany County, we have a lot of key services and want to continue to provide those services. As part of that, I wanted to then break down just a little bit about VOA and what we offer then to Albany County in particular. In 2023, we offered 477 client services, and that was unique clients that came in, equating to over 9,000 service hours. And that's not just from my team here. We work collaboratively across 8 other counties, and those services come in via telehealth from our other counties as well to help serve, since we are short-staffed with things. In addition to that, we run on-call, so we are 24/7 available to our clients, whether that's daytime crises that call in or after hours that rolls to our after hours alpha paging that then connects with therapists to provide that support. Along with that, specific to Albany County, we have a gatekeeping contract. As our county commissioners know, as you fund that, we're very grateful for that. That allows for us to have a gatekeeper who works closely with BHS and our county attorney's office to serve clients that are moved into that program. We provide updates that are needed along the way with that as well, and we provide to the mental health board an update every quarter as well. In addition to that, I wish Josh was still here with Interfaith. He helped support with us securing the HAVOC program that we had, and that was a result of what commissioners gave us, $180,000 that went directly back out to our clients, so no operating costs with that. We were able, with that money, along with support from Josh, to help support 45 individuals that were in that programming. As part of that, we had then a 73% success rate, which is 1% higher than where Housing First was, and that was a program I just developed based on support that we had, and I had 2 case managers that came to me and said, we have an issue, and we've developed a program as a result of that. In addition, we have the ACT program that you all are aware of, and thank you for letting me come speak about that in November. If Chief Brown wants to come say anything on it as part of this, huge credit to him for bringing this to the table to VOA. This is a direct result of all 4 of us coming together as partners and saying, let's help support our community with that community crisis response. We officially started this at the end of January, and we have a crisis community case manager who's embedded with all 3 law enforcement agencies and will continue to expand in her support and hopefully provide some co-response soon. In addition to that, then, to wrap up, we have housing options available here in Laramie. So we have 31 apartments that are available to support our clients. They can receive case management services, skills training, and medication monitoring. So my clinical team of paraprofessionals is in and out of our Snowy View apartments twice a day, 7 days a week. So while our clinic may be open only Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, we are operating 24/7 to help serve our clients. Any questions that you have? Or I guess Chief Brown's not going to come up.
He gets a pass on this one.
This time.
He's had to wade through this conversation enough with us. Any questions, councilors, commissioners? Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up, Common Outdoor Grounds. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Do we have slides? Okay,
Just
great.
a minute.
I didn't know if they hadn't gone through. I could do it without. The slides are not that impressive. All right, so I'm here to chat to you guys about Common Outdoor Ground. My name is Nicole Foss, and I am the only employee of Common Outdoor Ground. So whatever my title is today, that is the truth. So we are a community organization providing volunteer support to land managers in Southeast Wyoming. So we do projects that focus on increased recreation access, improving public spaces, outdoor spaces, and increasing their sustainability. So in 2023, we increased our capacity for the 5th year in a row since our initial founding. We had over 1,000 volunteer hours, over 23 volunteer days. We also worked with Albany County Tourism Board and Visit Laramie to reopen the Centennial Visitor Center, where we saw over 5,000 visitors stop in, which I think is just phenomenal. We've had amazing feedback. Everybody's super pleased to see that open again. So our volunteer labor is valued at over $33,000, and we are happy to be able to donate that to land managers. So we do all kinds of projects, basically whatever land managers need, cleaning up, reopening campgrounds, trail building, trail maintenance. This year we will be venturing into the world of cabin renovations, Little Brooklyn Lake Cabin, and a few others. And then we generally just try to make sure that all of our projects have that outcome of increase of ownership, feelings of ownership over land, stewardship, and supporting the health and well-being of our community. So our past partners are numerous. We are an explicitly collaborative organization, so we are proud to work with as many people as possible and as many people as would like to connect with us in the future. This year we are going to be partnering, and we have already partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Several people have mentioned the diversion program. We hosted 2 events last week where about 50% of the volunteers were youth, mostly from Big Brothers Big Sisters, picking up pine cones in Washington Park and in Labonte Park. So we are also piloting our Albany County STEAM School, which will be basically to supplement science curriculum in elementary schools in Albany County. Many of you may know that elementary schools used to take their 4th or 5th grade cohorts to Teton Science School. That stopped in 2020 for reasons that are surprisingly more numerous than the pandemic. And so we said, why can't we do that here? We've got nature, we've got experts, we've got elementary schoolers. Let's do it. So on April 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this year, we will be doing our pilot program with the 4th and 5th grade cohorts from Vidal Elementary, supported by a lot of science educators from UW, both from the Roadshow and the Halp School. So we are requesting $12,000 from the county and $4,000 from the city. Our organizational capacity has basically doubled every year since our founding. I mentioned that I am the only employee of the organization. I am not full-time. I do not have benefits. We are just trying to get by with as scrappy as we can. I do think that this year our projects have expanded to the point where this is really proportional to our work plans. We plan to have a volunteer event every week during our season, which typically runs from May to September. And in those volunteer events, we do work that land managers need done, but wouldn't otherwise have the capacity to organize volunteers. Any questions for me?
Questions? All right. Thank you for the work you do. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Next up, Laramie Plains Civic Center. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Congrats on making it to 7:30, almost. My name is Jessica Brower. I'm the Executive Director at the Laramie Plains Civic Center. When I presented to you all this time last year, I was weeks into the position. I know more today than I did then. So I provided you with a handout, which I don't expect you to see on the screen, but that has some big picture information on our organization. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about that. Our mission is to serve as a community fostering connections, nurturing creativity, and ensuring an enriched future with a vision to cultivate a vibrant and inclusive space for the people of Laramie to gather, connect, and grow. We presently have 75 tenants. This includes over 50% artists. This is both visual and performing artists, some of whom are in the room, nonprofit organizations, small businesses, some one-off state offices for folks who just need a desk. We have a conservative estimate of supporting 150 jobs in the building and serving an average of 1,500 unique individuals. So that's folks of all ages, everything from kids in Taekwondo to community members using nonprofits in the building, folks attending a show, learning how to throw pottery. There's a little bit of everything happening in the building. So I mentioned we have visual and performing arts programming for the community. So there's shows happening in the Griffin Theater. In addition to that, we have workshops and classes in the Pottery Studio and in our workshop space, including free programming for youth and aging populations. And we recently added the gallery, which provides opportunities for marginalized populations and emerging artists. We really like to give artists the opportunity to showcase their work for the first time. Our facility rentals continue to serve as spaces for recreation, nonprofit fundraisings, programming, events, just any way a community can collaborate. It has probably happened in the building. I'm sure you all have attended something in the building at some time. And so I detail a little bit more of that in the handout. Presently, our focus is on capacity building and strategic partnership building to ensure that we have the right people at the table to figure out how the Civic Center exists in this community looking forward. We've spent a lot of time looking backward in this historic facility. It's nearly 150 years old. However, we really want to look forward and figure out how can we be in service to Laramie for another 150 years. Since we last talked, we've had a huge focus on public donations. Our donor list has increased 285%. That was largely due to support from the Wyoming Community Foundation. And I mention that because this focus on public donations has been a really incredible way to learn how much this community values the space and has been willing to invest, whether that's in small donations or volunteering their time, sharing these campaigns. Public donations wasn't a large part of the budget for the Laramie Plains Civic Center historically, and it still isn't a large part of our budget. However, we've been able to welcome over 100 new donors in this last year, which has felt like a great indication that it is in service to many people. One project that I do want to mention before I take any questions is we began a partnership with the Department of Environmental Quality and Ayers Associates, which is an engineering firm that works with brownfield properties to provide development support. They've worked with a number of properties in the community, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. So we got a grant for them, which allowed us to have a large number of engineers in the building who know much more than I do about their fields, looking at everything from structure, plumbing, asbestos, all of this to try to figure out where do we need to focus our attention. And this has been a really valuable compass for our work already. We'll work with them until the end of June. However, they're experts coming in and showing us where do we need to pay attention, where do we need to invest in the physical building, and then where are there opportunities where we can invest in the development of the building, has been amazing. So I look forward to continuing to use that body of work and to figure out how can we go to local funders, federal funders, our pools of donors, and figure out how to continue to serve the community from this property. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilors, commissioners, questions? Councilor Gabriel, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Jesse, I was just curious about the elevator. I know over the years, and I talked to you about this last year.
Yes, you asked me last year, and it was working last year, and it is still working.
Important,
or at least it was
people.
at 5 p.m. today.
So what's the update on possible replacement, whatever?
So, I mean, ADA is obviously a huge issue in a building of that age, and that's something that's coming up in our work with Ayers. So we're trying to look at the building from a big picture and figure out, where do we focus first? And ADA will be one of those projects for sure. For example, one of the gyms has stairs to get into it. A person couldn't even get there if they needed a ramp. So in the Civic Center, typically our projects are in the millions of dollars, so we have to decide where we want to focus first. But ADA is 100% on a long list of projects and a priority for us, as accessibility is in our mission.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Project graduation is up next.
You're awesome at that.
She's a hero. Welcome. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks. I am Nicole Wade in this. I'm a co-chair with Ashley McKinney for Project Graduation. I'm hoping most of you know what it is. Both of us got to attend it when we graduated from high school, but it is a few years ago. Yeah, just a couple years ago. It is a 100% free to the student, drug-free, alcohol-free celebration for all graduates in Albany County. And we supply food, games, activities. We have a hypnotist coming, and it's just kind of that last hoorah to get them all together, let them have fun, let them be kids. I mean, there's big kid trikes in there. They spend the night after, it's on Friday, May 24th, after the high school, the Laramie Laramie High graduation, and it's just one night to celebrate. We have big prizes that we give away for the students to kind of entice them to stay, and it's just a safe night for them to celebrate their achievements. So, any questions y'all have for us?
Any questions, counselors or commissioners? I think we're all quite.
Terry,
familiar,
did you
but-
go? Did you have one?
No, I graduated way ahead of you.
You're supposed to say no. It's only, I'm not even gonna say what anniversary year it is this year, then you should say no. I went there. It was fun. A couple years. No.
He's a year ahead of me, but.
Well, that's why we had to start it. All right.
All right, no questions. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Next up, Winter Lights Festival. Mr. Welper. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. Thank you for having me. And kudos to Nancy for putting all this together. I'm watching her from back there, and oh my gosh, I'd be a nervous wreck if I was in that position. So, Honorable City Council and County Commissioners, thanks for having us. I want to start off by, if you need to cut anything, go ahead and cut us, because there's a lot of great organizations out here. This was something that was brought to our attention last year from Todd Fieser just to apply for it. And so, believe me, we will be fine if you decide to cut us, and we'll still have great relationships with you all. So we have a lot of great organizations in this community. So the Winter Lights Festival, I think everyone's kind of aware of it by now because you had to deal with me last year. It's a free outdoor winter event for children, families, and hopeless romantics. This event started out as an idea to bring the event to Laramie with our new holiday lighting and all that, and it's turned into much more than that. We have created, oops, I forgot that I'm doing this part. No, I can do it, I'm sorry. You're already doing plenty, I'm good. I'm just, it brings a lot of excitement, happiness, and light during the darkest weeks of the year, which is ironic that the darkest weeks of the year are from the middle of November till about the end of January, and so, which is right when we run the Winter Lights Festival. This last year, we doubled the amount of lights we had from the first year. We had over 100,000 LED lights in the park, all LED lights. We had 53 businesses and organizations that are part of this event this year, and 19 nights for local organizations and charities. As you know, there was a lot of lights in that park, so so what does the community get from the festival? This event has to be rich in experience but remain free to the public, free to all attendees. At the grand opening, we decided as a company to invest in a drone, so we kind of got a cool shot of the grand opening. But at the grand opening, we did have Grinch, Santa, Elsa, Buddy the Elf, and approximately 1,000 people to help bring in and turn on the lights. Human Being of Laramie graciously gave away over 40 gallons of hot chocolate that night to all the attendees. We served Toys for Tots, Laramie Foster Closet, Vital Elementary, Laramie Lady Plainsman Soccer, Heart to Heart, Law, Safe Project, and a number of many other groups who utilized the concession stand. We worked with numerous organizations to have dedicated nights. As last year we stated, we wanted to have a night dedicated to veterans and a night dedicated to first responders, senior night, and then we were planning on having 3 sensory friendly nights where we shut down a lot of the blinking lights, music, turn off everything. However, one of those nights ended up being negative 20 degrees out, so we had to cancel one of those nights. So we were only able to do 2 this year. So participating businesses and what's in it for them. Like I said, we had 53 businesses that participated this year. We learned a lot in year 1, and I think we learned even more in year 2. It was fun to see. We had a lot of restaurants that reached out to us and said they had somebody stopping by on their way to the Winter Lights Festival. A Human Being of Laramie, good old Matt Lockhart, said, "You increased my sales," because everyone needed to go get a hot chocolate to go to the Winter Lights Festival. Families had more outdoor activities to take their kids to during the week and the weekends. It extended the light of the day, and that's what was fun to see, is how bright the park was at night, to allow citizens to enjoy that during the darkest weeks of the year. And something we never planned was also, we brought this up, as businesses get to advertise in the park with a sign that they normally wouldn't get to. And so there's a lot of great things, and to see all those businesses come together. What we added in 2023, we increased our sponsorships by 15 businesses. We increased the ground displays. We added the Rocky Mountain Reclamation, the John Deere tractor. We had the Toyota Laramie with Santa and a Tundra. Wyotech with the car show. And then our favorite addition this year was the color-changing lights on the playground that allowed the playground to be lit up all throughout the night. And so that was really fun to see. We added color-changing tunnel of lights. That was kind of fun. And then we brought an enclosed concession stand that was wonderful for our nonprofits to use. The year before, they were out in the cold and all that. This year, they got to be in the warm. We provided the hot chocolate. We provided the cups and containers for them to make the hot chocolate, so they had hot water on site, and they had electricity and a heater inside there. We added music in the park this year. We added handicap accessible toilets at both ends of the park, and then we added more dedicated nights for demographics throughout the community. What does the City of Laramie gain? It's unique to the City of Laramie and Albany County. It was highlighted in Visit Laramie Live, and we partnered with AARP Wyoming this year with the senior citizens. We didn't expect this level of attention, but it's wonderful. I think it's great to show how cool it is. Oh man, I am long-winded, I'm sorry. A lot of businesses came together. That concession stand raised over $3,000 from nonprofits. In April, we will be donating $6,000 of what we raised back to nonprofits, and we'll be posting that on the Winter Lights Festival. And yeah, what do we look forward to in next year? We're hoping to serve more nonprofits, bring in more attractions, bring in more recreational events such as building snowman contest, since we extended it through the end of January. And we're looking at adding a lit up maze for kids to kind of have fun with as well. Some more recreational activities. So, and you guys have that, so there you go. And like I said, thanks for having us. Seriously, if you have to cut something, go ahead and take care of us. We're fine with that. So, any questions?
Councilors and commissioners, any questions?
I have one.
Please.
Brian, it's very honorable of you to be willing to be cut if we need to. Hopefully, we will be able to fund everything. Question about the hours of operation. Were they good with the neighbors? I got there a little late sometimes, and they were awful.
Yes, and so we try to keep it. We were going to extend it. We did 4 to 9 the first year, and we kept it at 4 to 9 this year. We applied with the permit we applied for. We said 4 to 10. Just to be, but then we're like, let's just keep it at 4 to 9. We have to go and we have to notify all the surrounding neighbors, and not one ever. They actually said, we actually had some real estate company that started doing a lighting contest for people around to kind of make it more exciting around. We had one guy that when we added the music in the park, we had it playing during the day, and he was like, is that going to, and he was worried about it was going to be loud, but if you step outside the park, those speakers are drawn in, and we try to keep all the speakers faced inside the park. And we try to keep it at a level that's not blasting you. And we are adding more speakers this year, but that's to allow us to bring the volume down a little bit, because we had to keep it up so it goes. But if we had more speakers that are faced in the park, we can bring that volume down to keep it. But no, we've talked about going to 10 o'clock, and knock on wood, thanks to, the City of Laramie Police Department did a great job keeping an eye on it. We had some security cameras we added for added measures, but this is the second year in a row, and we feel like we're counting our time, but we didn't have any vandalism in the park for 2 years in a row to any of the displays. So kudos to the City of Laramie and all the citizens.
So is there the possibility of extending that longer than 9 o'clock?
We would be open to it. We like I said, we applied on the permit, and I just want to get with and just make sure that it's okay with the city police and with the city, and just make sure. But I don't think it.
Around you, some of them have their lights on till way past.
Mm-hmm. And I think it does, because there's a lot of nights that I see. I think it allows for, because we did 9 o'clock because usually not my kid. I wish my kids were in bed at 9, but I'm a terrible put kids to bed person. But after 9 o'clock, the kids are usually in bed, but it also does allow for an extended time to, whether, that one demographic we said, hopeless romantics, which is me, for, to allow a little bit more extension. And keeping the lights in the park, I feel like it doesn't really seem to make it too bright to the neighbors. And so, yeah, it's definitely, we're definitely wanting to look at it next year.
Thank you.
Councilor Shumway.
Thank you. Brian, first of all, thank you for what you're doing. When you say you don't need us to contribute to you. We do contribute to another light festival, which is called Fire in the Sky. And that's in the summer, and we put up to $30,000 in that. So I'm not opposed to putting money into this because of the great work you do. So we have lights in the park in the winter, we have Fire in the Sky in the summer, and you do a great job. Thank you for expanding this and making this a great event for the city.
Awesome. And we appreciate the support from the city and county. And we also did say those speakers, we've talked to Todd Fieser that we can help him set that up. We can help the city set that up for maybe on the 4th of July to play some music throughout the park during the 4th of July. So is it pretty cool? So
thank you. Yeah, please, Commissioner.
I want to thank you because we try to help Pleasant. But what you're bringing is happiness and a family activity that's all about happiness and, like you said, in the dark time of the year. And I think that that's very, very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. And we extended it through the end of January this year, and it was overwhelming how much people loved having the whole month of January to use it. So we are going to keep it through the end of January this year again, going forward. So,
all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Laramie Railroad Depot Association, we've got you there on Zoom. Joseph.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
Great. Thank you.
All right, we are to you.
Great. Thank you. So first of all, thanks for letting me join remotely as I'm currently traveling for work in western Wyoming. I'm the current treasurer of the Laramie Railroad Depot Association, and if we could just move to the next slide, I'd just like to present on some of the key numbers from 2023. So thanks to city and county support, we were able to complete the required bathroom renovations, helping us continue to welcome the public in our facility. That support was leveraged to secure an additional $2,000 private donation. And as discussed at the City Council meeting last year, the support allowed us to free up additional funding. That meant we were able to allocate resources to pigeon abatement around the building. We had multiple public events in 2023. The museum was open on Mondays during the summer and Fridays when the farmers market was running. In addition, the museum was open on an ad hoc basis by request, with requests throughout the year from people traveling through Laramie and some people in town as well. We held our annual open house in November that brought around 800 people through the depot doors, helping promote Laramie's rich railroad heritage to the next generation. The depot also participated in collaboration with Laramie Main Street on the train lighting in Depot Park. And then the big event for us is that in 2024, the depot will be turning 100 and we'll be opening the doors with special events surrounding the centenary. Rentals remain the primary source of income for the depot, with over 91 rentals in 2023. A number of these rentals were either given free to certain community organizations or at a reduced price for nonprofits. The increase in rental income that you can see from the past 3 years has allowed us to stay on par with the increase in costs required in keeping the depot open to the public, but it still does not allow us to put enough funds aside for some of the large upkeep projects that the depot needs to do in the coming years. So it's good news that the funds are increasing, but an issue potentially to keep up with the building upkeep going into the future. And so keeping the building safe and functional is the priority of the depot board to ensure that it can remain a center for the community for the next 100 years. And we're applying for funds to help improve the building security with the aim of protecting the public, the building, and the museum artifacts. This centers around 3 areas: updating the electronic locks, installing door latch monitors and visit counters, and installing security cameras at our main doors. These upgrades would significantly improve our ability to manage the building entrances and ensure the facility is adequately monitored. If you have any additional questions about this proposal, I'd be happy to take them, but I just want to take the opportunity to reiterate that this is the depot centenary, and we will be announcing our public event soon that will be occurring in early October. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for the railroad depot? Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you very much.
Next up, Pilot Hill. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners and Councilmen. I'm so thrilled to be here with you tonight. As you are well aware, Pilot Hill was a dream that our community grabbed onto in the late 2017, early 2018, and we did it. We now have a 7,000-acre recreation and wildlife habitat space in our backyard, and it's ours forever. Nancy, right button? One more time. Do I point at something? Huh? There we go. Just a reminder, the goals are to protect the aquifer recharge zone, to protect critical wildlife habitat space, and to really make sure that our community can have economic diversity and the benefits of healthy outdoor living and the mental and physical health that goes with that. Another goal that we have, of course, is to make sure that we're a good community partner as well, especially for the neighbors that adjoin Pilot Hill. I remember seeing many of you in the room when we did the land use planning back in 2020. Again, this truly is a vision that the community put together, and that is our guiding principle as we manage Pilot Hill. It provides year-round access and healthy opportunities for the community year-round. I was out there about a week ago when the weather was so nice, and there were probably 50, 60 people within eyesight out utilizing the community asset. We also are starting to see that there's a lot of state recognition in what we've done. We've had a lot of other communities reach out to us and say, how did you make this happen? And we always just point to our partners. This community really pulled together, especially the city and the county and the university, to make this happen. So I thank you for that. We really serve as a resource for all of our schools in the community. We have lots of school field trips out there. We host events with the middle school and the high school bike teams and running teams. We have the children from the children's home come out weekly to enjoy the space. We have seniors that hike out there, but it really is something that I think is utilized by every citizen of Albany County in some way or another, even if it's just to enjoy the view shed. And it is starting to really show some of the economic impact. In the next 2 years, we'll be investing about $3 million in our backyard, and we know that new businesses are starting to pop up. We just had a call about a week ago from an organization that's wanting to do bike rentals and wants to figure out how to best partner with Pilot Hill in that. I'm not going to show you the map, but I think you all know we do have a variety of trails on the property, 2 of them now that are universally accessible, meaning they're a little bit wider and have been designed specifically so that people that need a walker or a cane or have a motorized wheelchair can get out and enjoy the property as well. This happens to be the university cross-country team, so they don't need it, but they sure love the trails. We also finished this last year the main connector between Laramie and the Medicine Bow National Forest. This central portion of Trail 10 really opens up direct access to the top of the property, and we're really proud of how well that trail turned out. The big thing for us now is the fact that we have been successful with this, and all of a sudden we have to maintain the area. I was really thinking the hardest thing to raise money for would be the bathrooms, but we actually had a donor come forward and say, I'll pay for bathrooms. It's keeping the trails in good condition. It's the annual operating costs and the maintenance. For this park that honestly is almost twice the size of Kurt Gowdy State Park is the really daunting task that we're now facing. We also, as I mentioned, are building the primary trailhead in this coming year. We hope that we'll have final approval by the city here soon, and we'll be able to start getting bids for that. But that's going to provide not only the fancy bathrooms that we're putting in, but really nice gathering spaces for all the groups that use the property. There are 3 different gathering spaces in the design so that if there's families there having picnics, they can get away from the school group that might be learning about about the aquifer or insects on the property, and then another group might be gathering further on that is just waiting for all their friends to get together to go for a hike or a run or a ride. We use trail counters on the property. We know that we had over 150,000 visits in the last year. We anticipate that the numbers are actually much higher because, as you know, the borders are pretty porous, but used by a variety of users, from families with young children to horseback riders to just our everyday dog walkers. The regulations, again, are guided by the community. They wanted an area that was open year-round for recreation, and we've been able to provide that. We do protect the wildlife in the winter months and have seasonal closures there. And once again, our success is due to our partners, two of which are the county and the city. I'd love to field any questions you might have. Our ask is larger this year to both the city and the county, and it's primarily because of the increased costs that it come up with the 20 additional trail miles on the property and just having a true park now that we're managing.
Thank you, Sarah. Councilors and commissioners, any questions, comments? Councilor Gabriel?
Thanks, Mayor. Sarah, just highlight, you mentioned on that slide about the trailhead that's coming in, but just highlight a little bit about the parking accessibility that's going to be there, because that's so vital.
It is huge. We have over 60 parking spots for vehicles. We have parking allotted for 4 school buses, plus at least 4 horse trailer size vehicles in that area. There are 3 handicap spots that are available. The parking space itself, we hope, will alleviate any pressure that's currently being felt by some of the neighboring homeowners, especially over on 45th and Crow, where people tend to come and park. The other thing that we really like about where it's located, quite frankly, is that it'll bring people from out of town far enough into the community that they'll know that we have great restaurants and other places that they can visit and spend their money while they're here. But we do hope, as I said, Pat, to break ground on that this summer. I'm thinking that it may take us until next spring before we have all of the landscaping finished and the whole thing polished, but it'll be a great asset for the community, and we want it to be a showcase as nice as any city park, but in a trailhead functionality.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Relative theatrics is up next. Welcome.
Good evening, all. I think inspired by Joseph, Tim requested some accents, and I have some testimonials for you all. So while this presentation won't entirely be an accent, I'll characterize a couple. Relative theatrics. They are at the forefront of theatre in Wyoming, and I think they push most of their viewers to think more critically and to empathize with new experiences Wyomingites rarely get to experience. They allow new works to push themselves to the spotlight, allow many young theatre artists to develop work and gain professional experience, and they are able to bring challenging and thought-provoking theatre. I think Relative Theatrics is pushing theatre in Wyoming to a promising future. Love this theater company. I feel so very fortunate to have the quality of theater available to us here in Laramie, a true value to our community. These are just a couple patron endorsements illustrating the benefits of Relative Theatrics. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. I'm Ann Mason. I am Relative Theatrics founder and artistic director.
And I'm Alice Hovis. I'm the new executive director of Relative Theatrics, a truly impactful nonprofit organization in Albany County. I deeply believe in our mission to present thought-provoking theater that examines the joining qualities of the human race. Taking artistic risk, we provide a community gathering place where thoughts can be exchanged about society, culture, and the power of creativity. I'm thrilled to join a financially stable organization that uses innovative ways to collaborate with local businesses and community partners and organizations. It's been excellent for my career and personal growth to witness the ways Relative Theatrics funds the arts in our community and look forward to exploring and expanding upon those efforts.
We regularly procure funding from state and national granting agencies, including 2 consecutive years receiving a prestigious grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, with that continuing into next year. Our base of donors continues to expand, our ticket sales have grown in income, and we have a dedicated core of seasoned subscribers who invest in our programming on a loyal, continued, ongoing basis. To enhance accessibility and inclusion, we offer donation-based preview performances and have implemented a new pick-your-price ticketing model that best fits a wide range of incomes. We offer free tickets to disadvantaged and historically underserved groups and do not turn away anyone for lack of funds, because we strive to serve all citizens of Albany County, regardless of means or status. Our audience members range in ages from their 20s through their 70s, and they come from diverse backgrounds and income levels. We love that people from all walks of life come together to experience our plays and discuss them with one another, and we are proud to provide education, entertainment, and an opportunity to create community through theater.
We depend on private donations and grants in order to supplement earned income so that we can provide the kind of theater to our community needs. We have successfully received funds from 9 granting organizations aside from the city and county in the past year and are continually applying for grants to support our 2024-2025 season. We're grateful to have received community partner funds since 2018. This year, the community partner funds have already allowed us to impact over 700 audience members, 95 students, and 6 teachers through our plays, readings, and education programs. We will have 1 more regular production and our playwright showcase performance before the season concludes, which will increase this impact greatly. For 2024-2025, we are increasing our request. We estimate that we will need to leverage $47,000 of granted funds in the coming year, to which we will use whatever the generous funding you elect to provide.
The funds that we are requesting for the coming year will assist in the creation of our season of theatrical experiences for Albany County residents, as well as the continued success of our education programs, Play/Write. We are increasing our request this year to assist with expanded programming and increased costs due to inflation. And in this current financial climate, it's important to us to prioritize the people who make our programming successful, the staff and our artistic teams. I'm going to jump ahead because we're a little bit low on time. But we have restructured our organizational scaffolding to have an artistic director focusing on visioning and curating the creative experiences, and then having Alice here as our executive director managing the day-to-day operations and the added administrative tasks as a result of program expansion. In 22-23, we launched Play/Write, our arts education and literacy program at 2 Title I schools, Linford and Spring Creek. Last year, we added Rock River Elementary, and we will expand to yet another school next year. And this is an amazing project that teaches creative writing skills and theater arts skills and fosters a deep appreciation of the arts through a 20-week classroom residency that then culminates in a intergenerational community showcase that is free and open to the public. It is a truly magical evening of theater, and so we're grateful to have that opportunity. And I think we can we'll end that. The rest of it is basically reiterating how grateful we are for your support and have been for gosh, I can do some math, 6 years now. So thank you. Any questions?
Councilors, commissioners, questions? Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a note that Science Loves Art is not present.
Mayor, they are not present. However, they did send a video. I don't know if the council and commissioners would like to watch that.
Sure.
Yeah? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, they got 5 minutes. They had preparation time. Everybody's going to submit videos next year, Nancy.
Let's see if I can get some sound.
Maybe, Anne, you can just come present whatever you want in an accent to this.
I can read what's up there and try to guess.
If anyone's qualified.
We'll just have to remember last year.
Yeah, that's true. You're right, too.
New artistic director. Is it the artistic director? No, it's, I'm actually going through allergy testing, trying to figure out what this is. No.
Mayor, I'm not 100% sure why the sound is not coming through.
Since it's on YouTube, can you just send us the link and we can watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's included in your agenda packet for the council. If you go under our agenda, it's towards the bottom underneath their application.
It is third from the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. So last, Laramie Public Art Coalition. I'm not going to wade into that. We're just glad you're here.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hello.
I am Laura McDermott. I'm the director of Laramie Public Art Coalition, and I requested to go last tonight, not because I'm saving the best for last, but maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I actually was spending the rest of my evening earlier tonight doing some intergenerational art programming where we were talking about belonging, and it only reiterated to me, and it was so serendipitous that it happened tonight, of how important art is to our community. It's not just a supplemental thing that we get to really enjoy and love as part of our experience of the everyday, but that it is truly transformational for our community to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of ownership over this place that we call home. So it was really, really awesome to be with that group of young people and people my age who are slightly older than young, to be creating art together. And that is what we're asking for in your support tonight, is carrying on our community programming and our community outreach and the art workshops and the art outreach that we are doing as Laramie Public Art. And this is relatively new programming for us as an organization. We started our artist-led workshop series just last year. It's become now an integral portion of what we do as an organization. We have 13 artist-led workshops this year. We prioritize paying our artists very fairly for that work and for that time to create alongside of our community. We offer these workshops to the public for a very low fee, and we are reinvesting that money that we're getting from those fees to do free workshops with other community partners. So like this Friday, we're going to the Epson Center and we'll be doing comics with seniors. So really just exciting stuff. Getting to be more ingrained in the community has really been a priority for us as we grow as an organization. When I started at Laramie Public Art 4 years ago, our budget was about $22,000. We are investing this year in our artist community over $130,000. So that is being paid to people in our community to create artwork for us all to enjoy, and also for our artist members in our community to live their lives as creative people and be compensated fairly for that. So that's really important. So what you're supporting tonight is helping us keep an extra person on our team to do this community outreach work that is really, really important. So I also can concentrate on raising more money to put back into our creative economy and to build that community of people here in Laramie that are making good work for us all to experience and enjoy. So that includes these artist-like workshop series. We're also introducing some new programming this summer. We're teaming up with the city of Laramie and renovating Optimist Park, a space in Optimist Park. There will be a new building at the park. It's what'll be a shed that we are working with the middle school students right now, the Art 3 mural class, and they're creating a mural for that shed. They're working with an artist that we have been working with the whole semester, but that will be an opportunity for us to do free programming at the park all summer long. Maybe 4 months of good weather. Let's keep keep our fingers crossed, right? So that's really exciting. We've also increased the number of opportunities we're getting for people to interact with the projects that are happening in people's spaces. So that's really what we're requesting. The funds would be used to also match a grant that we received from the Wyoming Cultural Trust Fund about 2 years ago that is almost done. That supports our community engagement manager and that position, and we will also be hiring another person to help us part-time to do some of this programming because it's a lot of work and got 2 hands, so. But I'd be really happy to take your questions. I also have real handouts for you. I've sent these handout, but I don't know if I can hand that to you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Questions?
Councilors, commissioners, any questions? Okay.
Cool.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Laura.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take public comments on the work session. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this work session, go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom or come forward in the room. Seeing no public comment, we're going to close the work session. And commissioners, you all are free to go. We have a little bit of council stuff to sort out. It won't take us long, but
Mayor Harrington, can I just
please
make one comment? I just want to say thank you to all of you who came. And it is so nice to see the camaraderie in this room. Like when you're all coming up to present and people are cheering other organizations on, it just is really lovely. So thank you all, and thank you for the work you do to make our community stronger.
Counselor, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna pause for 5 minutes while things clear out. So while the humans clear out. this work session. Thank you, everybody. All right, we are just at the order of business of City Council updates and council comments. Councilor Pierce, any updates, comments?
Sure. In terms of committees, so I'll let Joe and Brandon talk about our meeting today with USAC. One of those two can talk about what we did today, and then I just want to give a ranch committee update. So, as you probably all recall, we created a working group, and council appointed me, or I can't remember how by resolution, whatever it was, to be part of that working group. And then one of the members of the ranch committee was part of that working group. And then in our most recent last couple of meetings with the ranch committee, with the advice of the working group and through some pretty long discussions, we have opted not to renew the lease out at the Monolith Ranch with Bear Livestock. So our next meeting is going to be moving forward. That I think is going to be the second or the third week in April sometime, and we're going to start doing some long range and probably some short range planning. The first thing we're going to do is look at the document that was created in 2017 regarding our goals and cross off the things that have been accomplished. And for those on council that have been around for a while, I suspect you recall that presentation. A pretty good chunk of what was discussed back then has been accomplished. And then we're just going to be moving forward and making plans for both our ranches at this point, or at least that's my understanding. So it'll be working on both the ranches and kind of merging and planning things together. So it's really exciting. It's great news from my perspective, because we'll get to plan very broadly. And of course, as you all know, our focus is water. So irrigation, believe it or not, starts in a couple days, April 1st. So, and we need to get that water turned on and get irrigating out there. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Jay Smith is available. So that's it. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. I really appreciate you doing all that extra heavy lifting on that board recently.
No problem. We've got some work ahead of us. I don't know when we will have sort of a new set of goals put together, but like I said, we'll probably meet at least once a month and work that out. We've kind of divided us into 2 or 3 different working groups already to do some preliminary work, and we're just going to go for it and see what we come up with. So.
That's great. I really appreciate the update. Thank you. Any other updates, Councilor Pierce?
That's all I can think of right now.
Great. Councilor O'Doherty, anything from you?
Yeah, we had, we've been interviewing with Councilor Pierce, people for the, to reestablish the Fire and Building Review Board. And we have some really good candidates we'll be recommending to council. And the Environmental Advisory Committee meets next week. And we'll discuss the emissions reduction plan that the graduate student who's been working with the city and the Hobbs School has been put together for the last couple of years, doing a lot of research on what other communities are doing for emission reduction. So that they're going to, the EAC is going to discuss that a week from Thursday. And then the Laramie Advisory Committee on Disabilities met, and they're very happy about our the funding for the accessible playground. and I forget, was it Optimus or Kiwanis? Anyway, they're very excited about Optimus, and they were able to give input for that, and so they're very happy that that's closer to being reality, and also grateful for the proclamation about Disability Awareness Month, which it still is, and please shovel the ramps. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doherty. Councilor Gabriel?
Just an update on meetings I've attended recently, Railroad Depot Association Board meeting, and Joe updated all of you during our presentation tonight. The Albany County Tourism Board going strong, and also the Park, Rec, and Tree Board meeting last week. So lots of meetings to go to. Everybody's doing good work. That's all I have.
I'm glad to hear that. Councilor Richardson?
Thank you. A few of my boards meet next week in the following: DDA and Main Street. And Youth Council sort of met. We hosted a meeting in which you came and spoke, and the city manager came and spoke to share the roles of those folks, but we had a very small turnout from the actual members of the Youth Council. The ACRB board met last night to review the first set of applications, and then they will meet again on May 13th to make some final decisions on those applications.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Shumway?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you for hosting the Laramie Youth Council.
Sure.
I'm surprised that we didn't have that number show up, but it's during spring break, so.
And it was snowing, we'll blame it on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll blame it on that.
We've already met with Soup Kitchen and also Interfaith, and then we've set up to where they're going to be meeting with the downtown clinic on the 4th. So looking forward to that. I don't want to give a lengthy report, but I do want to report, that National League of Cities was packed with more meetings than you can attend. We did get to see the President of the United States. I was from here to the clock from him. Didn't recognize me and didn't ask about any of you. I did meet with the National League of Cities. I'm on their steering committee, the Small Cities Council. I'm on their steering committee. We had one meeting on Saturday where we solved all the problems of the small cities throughout the world. And then they had a larger group of just a general training for all the small cities ideas. I brought home some housing things and a few things like that probably don't have too much application with us, but it's very interesting, and I think it's good to see the best practices that the different places have. Well, let me get to report on some of the Traffic Safety Commission met. I met with one of the members of the Traffic Safety Commission. They had about 3 items on their agenda. They had some training, I think, from our city clerk, right, for the Traffic Safety Committee this time?
Yeah, the open meeting. The Open Meetings and Public Records Act.
Right, I saw that. And they said that most of the meeting was talking about parking issues and losing parking because of development around the university, and also the concerns about improvements on 3rd and 4th Street and possibility of losing parking there and that. So I don't know details on that, but that was what their discussion was. Urban systems, we met today at 1 o'clock, and the only thing new, that meeting is only about annually, and I probably ought to leave something for you to talk about. All I'll say is this: they got an increase of about $45,000 over the allocation that they've been getting year to year, which is not a lot because we get about $500,000 a year to do major street projects. Right now we're working on Bill Nye, and there's 3 other projects that they'll get to probably in the next 20 years. But it's just it's a huge group. I mean, we have, the committee is probably 15 people, and there's probably 15 staff that show up. It's a huge group that meet, and the meetings, Joe Lord manages the meeting, so it goes really well, but we just don't have that much to talk about because the money is set aside for that Bill 9 extension, and we did talk about the university taking over Flint. Is that what it was? Flint? Or no,
it's,
Buford? No.
No, Bradley.
Bradley.
Between 9th and 15th.
Yeah, and they want us to develop into a collector. Brandon and I both voted no, because I think if they're going to develop it. But why do we want to develop it and then have that become a vacant street? So we don't know what's going to, I don't understand that. I'm going to look more into it, but we both voted no, but it did pass. So they're still going to try to move that to a collector on the map. I think that's, let me look and see if there's anything else. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. I attended the Pilot Hill meeting, as well as the Youth Council open house, I guess, at City Hall. But Pilot Hill has, as Sarah Brown Matthews mentioned, a very ambitious year ahead of them, more trails than last year being built. So what you thought was the trail map won't be the trail map anymore. It continues to expand. They're still dealing with sort of increased insurance costs, and I think that's part of one of those underlying conversations about management long-term. They're paying liability insurance on the 7,000 acres, including the wildlife habitat area that is closed part of the year, but insurance doesn't necessarily account for all of the pieces. But they have some significant costs, but they are approaching final design with city staff for the trailhead, which I think is going to be pretty incredible. And then they're considering sort of options for public art and things like that to be integrated into the design as well. And then I spoke last week at the State Parks and Cultural Resources Agency from the state, hosted their annual sort of like all agency meeting here. They picked Laramie. They had 3 days in town. So I had a chance to speak with on a panel with Representative Byron from Jackson and our very own Representative Sherwood about the ways that we're using these agencies are engaging in our communities. And from my point of view, it was really kind of exciting because we got to talk about all these Pilot Hill, all these cool, the territorial prison, all these cool assets that we have that are supported by those folks. So it was a large group and kind of an exciting meeting, but it was one of those things that you get to do sometimes that you're just like, well, I don't deserve to be on this stage, but I'm glad I am. And that is all I have for you guys. Vice Mayor.
The Town and Gown has completed their series of seminars with the International Town and Gown Association, and so we will, this was the initial part of the restructuring of Town and Gown. We concluded that on Wednesday, the 20th, with an all-day seminar in which speakers came in and guided us through developing mission, goals, and 3 action plans, 2 of which will focus on rentals and 1 on speed control around Wyotech. It was well attended with a broad representation from the community. Planning Commission met yesterday, and the primary topic was continuing to look at the Turner Track, the property at the southeast corner of Beach and Boulder. And one of the things that was debated at length was the O zoning and the interpretation that the public who live in that area has, because when it says O zone, then there's a paren open, and that's being interpreted as open space. And so we had quite a bit, they had quite a bit of discussion about the implications of that name and that it can be misunderstood, and just looking at rezoning that place. So that was that. And I think I did go today to the LPD swearing in, and that's always very uplifting. And just the last thing I was going to say, that over the weekend, I participated in the disaster preparedness weekend workshop. And it was fabulous, and I learned a lot, and I learned that my disaster plan has quite a few holes in it, so I'm going to start repairing that now. But there were about 35 people there, a couple of 5th and 6th graders. There was a scout troop with middle school and high school, and seniors and everyone in between, and the instructors who came really were able to keep everybody engaged. And it was pretty amazing to see them be able to engage that kind of age group. My hat's off to our emergency management center and to Kate Allard and Kelsey for the work they did. They did an amazing job. A free 2-day workshop that prepares you for a lot of different scenarios, so I would recommend it to anybody. And that's it for me right now.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Councilor Newman.
Just the Urban System Advisory Committee again. The first thing we voted on was a lot of just the Bill Nye. The second one was the change in the classification of Bradley Street and Ivinson Avenue from a local to a collector, which brought some good discussion, and I think the vote was 8-4. Something to that aspect. So it did pass, and a lot of us did have questions on why we were going to pump some money into a street if it could be taken. And the university, Matt Newman was there and said there's no plans as of yet, but yeah, who knows if that will change. And then I have an update on something that I've been working on, if that's okay.
Please.
Council, you guys probably know that we get emails about the airport. We went out and talked to Amy and Jody out there. Me and the Vice Mayor and Councilor Richardson had a really good, lengthy discussion. A 30-minute meeting turned into a 2-hour meeting. We learned some good updates that are coming out there that will be in front of us at some point. They did get some grant funding or private funding for new stairs that are covered to go into these airplanes when it's like snowing and stuff out, which was fantastic to learn about. We are waiting for an FAA update, ruling on a letter that we received, that the FFA received as well. So I've been working on that kind of to give you guys an update. As of now, we're just kind of waiting for the FFA. We had, was it 13 things that a letter was given, and they had to, I think they only had to talk about 5 of the items on there. So it seemed like a good meeting, really good to get an update on there. So we are working on it, behind the scenes kind of stuff. So I think that's it. Councilor Pierce stepped up, and she will be taking the gun range out there. The rifle range meetings now. She said she can work it in, so we'll get some updates on that soon. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Yeah, the Vice Mayor and Councilor Pierce have been taking all kinds of boards and commissions lately. You both will be tired by the end of this term. For what it's worth, Council, you can expect more regular updates on the airport. I'm serving as the liaison as of a few weeks ago now, so you will have more regular updates to try to solve some of the lack of communication. But I do appreciate the councilors and the Vice Mayor taking that on. It's obviously worth our attention. So, any other updates, council members? Okay, we're going to move on.
Mayor,
yeah, please.
Just a quick question. In your mind, are there any serious deficiencies at the airport that we need to be worried about?
No.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, according to our, yeah, there was 0 violations from what we heard, so.
Good enough.
All right, on to the,
Can I comment?
of course you can.
Yeah, thanks. Joe and council, I think the folks at the airport board, or the folks out at the airport and the board that we have is really, really amazing. You know, Malia Brown, for example, I mean, we all know her and love her to death. And prior to being hugely successful, you know, employee at the city, she was with Boeing for God knows how long, right? I mean, she's got buckets and buckets of experience in airport functionality. Pete Gosar, pilot, you know, from the county. We've got our city attorney sitting as part of this. We are in an amazingly great position compared to what we were. And it is extremely unfortunate that we seem to continually get upset from just, you know, 1 or 2 members of the community that, you know, seem to be thinking there's a lot of nefarious or not proper things happening. And that is so far from the truth. So I am extremely confident in the work that board is doing. The folks that are working out there, they are amazing. And, you know, we probably don't say it enough. So I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. All right, folks, let's move on to our agenda review. We'll cruise through that real quick. All right, any questions on the consent agenda? We will have a, City Clerk, are you going to read, is the public hearing going to be very lengthy? Is it going to be, you have to read every name?
No, we're going to abbreviate it.
I'd love to hear that. All right, so disregard, I was going to say a long public hearing. All right, any questions on consent agenda, folks? Pretty straightforward through there. There's a couple items on the regular agenda I might direct some attention to. First would be, if you all are ready, item 13 is sort of a rebudget of some funds that were remaining when we completed the Snowy Range Bridge, when YDOT completed the Snowy Range Viaduct, that the previous council, I think 2019, had assigned for preventing cars from going off on the west side, south side of the west side of the bridge. That seems not possible to sort of match the fencing, is my understanding. And also we haven't seen any cars go off that side of the bridge or foot traffic or anything. So city staff is recommending we move that to a different pool, which you'll see noted there, which we can discuss then, but just so you have that in your mind, so you pay a little more attention to it. And then I would also just note the completion of on item 14, the completion of a real estate purchase for City Springs, which I think we all will be quite pleased to hear.
Just a question on this. Is the proposal that we get the water rights with the land that we're buying?
That's my understanding, yes. It would be, they're out of the way, it's ours.
That's a big get.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a whole lot of work from the city attorney's office. So, all right, any other questions, councilors?
I'm assuming 16 is what the vice mayor was talking about. I'm assuming also, I'm assuming that this is going to include the partners at the Turner Track that'll probably give their ideas on what they think we should be zoning the Turner Track.
I don't have an answer to that, but I can reach out to planning staff.
You were getting?
I didn't hear the first part.
Well, the Turner Track has people that are involved in decision-making at the Turner Track. And we're changing the zoning to where it's something that makes more sense to us. But are the partners at the Turner Track going to you and asking for this, or?
The city manager has an answer if you want to.
Okay.
Give her. Oh, great. City manager, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. And first of all, I appreciate you letting me attend remotely tonight. Second to the issue, Councilor Shumway, this lot that is in question is not contained in the area that is governed by the Turner Tract Office Park Association. It's on the south side of Beach Street and the east side of Boulder. Council might recall that some time ago you did grant an option to purchase for this lot to Cornerstone Realty for potentially an affordable housing multifamily development. Unfortunately, we did learn a few weeks ago that they did not receive tax credits this time around. But in any case, staff had already initiated the rezoning of the property from the open or holding zone within our zoning structure to, I believe, B1. And so that's what you will be considering. And the Planning Commission, Councilor Shumway, to your point, did, as Vice Mayor Cumby indicated, have a bunch of public comment last night about the rezoning, but this will be a standard rezoning request and not governed also under an additional layer of homeowner or property owner requirements, association requirements.
Okay.
Thank you, City Manager. All right. Any other questions on the agenda, folks? All right. Well, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.